muted. So I click start streaming. Here we go. And with no title screen, because this is not Torn Tuesday, this is a special live stream of the War of the Rohirrim. First teaser trailer was just released on YouTube, and we have so many opinions from fans and fellow and OneRing.net staffers that I thought we'd get everybody together and take a look at the trailer and go in as a deep dive as we always have. 25 years ago, when we started the OneRing.net, before there was streaming video, we used to take screenshots and then upload screenshots of every single frame and then comment on the screenshots. Now with this miracle of live streaming, we can do that. Plus we can do this, and this is going to be super fun. So we are live on the OneRing.net's Facebook page and Twitch page, and I think most people are going to be on YouTube. So I'm going to share the link on YouTube, youtube.com/theonering.net. Of course, you guys need to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'm going to post it in the One Ring Discord right now, because that is the hubbub, the center of all of the conversation around War of the Rohirrim that just went live. You just heard a disembodied voice of one of our staffers, so let me bring in the group chat. Welcome to the War of the Rohirrim trailer analysis show. Of course, my name is Justin. I'm a longtime volunteer staffer, as we all are. Over at the other corner, right there, is Tanya. Hello. That's awesome. And then right below me is the host of Torn Book Club, Saruman himself, Josh Rubenstein. Hello, Josh.
Um, and yeah, Torn Book Club uh, did a lot of analysis of books and movies, a lot of analysis of adaptations, and um, Tanya, I'm a fan of anime, although I have to say I have kind of a love-hate relationship with anime just because the early years of my career were spent working on the DVDs of a lot of different animes. And so I've worked on some great stuff and I've worked on some terrible stuff. But in researching this trailer, I realized the director of War of the Rohirrim, Kenji Kamiyama, actually directed a few movies that I worked on the DVDs of way early on in my career, like Jinro the Wolf Brigade and
Oh, cool.
Ghost in the Shell standalone complex. So
Nice.
That's that's
so it's really
amazing.
cool. It's kind of that's a nice connection there. And I
Uh,
love Jinro. It's one of my favorites.
Speaking of connection, I pressed the wrong button at the top of the show, so no one could hear Tanya when she was introducing herself. You want to repeat everything
Oh,
you said?
Oh, sure. Just briefly, I've been a staffer since around 2002 and love anime and have watched a lot of it. So hopefully, between the five of us, we can unpack some of the tropes we might be seeing in the anime version and then talk a little about the history of the format.
Awesome. And then right below Tanya is Kathy.
Oh, hello. So, yep, I've been, golly, a staffer with the One Ring since 2001 into 2002 when we started, yeah, when Fellowship of the Ring, when we did the Oscar party, that first Oscar party. And so I do a lot of events. And I'm kind of like the shepherd of the convention appearances here on the West Coast. Um, so yes, you can expect to see us at the LA Comic Con the first weekend of October. And then that's just before New York's Comic Con, and that will be the East Coast contingent who will be doing that. So
And
yeah,
before that, there's a birthday.
yes, there is a birthday bash coming up, and it's going to be on September 22 because whose birthday is it? It's Bilbo and
Bilbo?
Frodo's birthday.
Yay!
Yeah, so it's our Bilbo, yeah, it's our Baggins birthday bash. And yeah, so you'll see a bunch of us there trying not to melt in the sun. Hopefully some of the heat goes away that we've been having here in LA.
It'll still be good. Anna in the chat room says, I remember you, Kathy. And of course, we're going to be joined by people in and out throughout the show as we dive in and share our perspectives and opinions on the War of the Rohirrim trailer. But right now, without a webcam, there is a disembodied voice by the name of Demosthenes.
Hi. I do news. I manage the Discord. I've been around for a long time. I really like anime. I really like the Helm story. I'm keen for this thing. Yeah, let's get into it.
And Demosthenes has kind of been our point person on the coverage of War of the Rohirrim. He's published most of the articles. He's actually had the chance to interview Philippa Boyens about it over the last couple years. And
that was a couple of years ago now. Things have changed since then. So yeah, we'll get to that.
So he probably has the most insight as he's our Rohirrim beat reporter. If we have beats, I guess.
Well, he's down in that part of the world that makes it a little closer and easier.
Well,
yes, I'm in Australia.
There is this trailer, of course, features the wonderful music of Howard Shore. We don't want to get copyright clipped right now, so we'll have assumed that you all at home have watched the trailer. And there's actually 2 trailer links in the description below. One is for the trailer that we're going to look at. And there's also a Japanese version of the trailer, which had included scenes. But we'll get into that later in the show. So I guess we're just going to jump in. But first, I need to do my own plug. Next week is Dragon Con in Atlanta. And these are hot off the press. We have our exclusive Gollum Smeagol Cardinal Red
Nice.
Gollum Smeagol 24 shirt. This is exclusive colorway for Dragon Con next week. So if you're in Atlanta or you know someone that's in Atlanta, that the only way to get this is at the onering.net table under the stairs, as we always are. So look for the onering.net at Dragon Con.
In the Hyatt. I'll be there. I'll be there with Green Dragon and Deej. I'll be pitching in while they're at panels. We're right across from the art show. So, and right near a very nice stage where the Brobdingnagian bards are going to play several times. So it'll be a great place to come and get your shirt and watch some music.
Awesome. So that's our plug. Let's dive in. So I can go frame by frame on this trailer, but before we really dive into what we're seeing on screen,
can you indulge me for 5 minutes?
Oh yes, please.
Yes, I need to know some details because reports out of SDCC were a little vague, and I don't know. You had some exclusive footage there, and I don't know exactly what you was shown. I want to know. Can you describe it for us?
Yes. So our friends over at
Just
Warner
the exclusive
Brothers,
stuff. I know about the Annecy stuff.
Yeah.
We got an exclusive clip from the movie. It wasn't an edited trailer. It was actual scene from the movie that we showed to a very private group at our panel at San Diego Comic-Con. We want to thank Warner Brothers and Jason DeMarco and Joseph Chow and everybody that helped make it happen. The scene that we showed is related to this shot. This shot of the main character Hera riding her horse through a forest is also related to this shot of Hera running away from a raging Mumakil or Oliphant. I guess it's not a Mumakil because it doesn't have all of the accoutrements. So the scene that we showed at Comic-Con is a full, complete 5-minute scene of an Oliphant that has been released from its service of war. We don't know how, but it's a raging elephant, basically. And the few warriors left over from some battle that just took place are trying to escape from a rampaging Oliphant. And Hera comes up with an idea to distract the Oliphant to save the rest of her people, the rest of the warriors. So she blows the horn of
and you see the horn in the this trailer. You see her.
You see the start. You see her blow the horn. It is one of the most epic scenes that we could have possibly imagined because the camera pans around. I mean, it's a total hero shot of Hera blowing the horn of Rohan, and the camera pans around, and she's got some lungs on her because the horn blows for a significant amount of time, and it distracts the Oliphant. He turns his attention toward her. She rushes to find a horse, gets on the horse, and the chase is on, and she rides into a forest, and the Oliphant chases after her, and then and so that's happening, and then it cuts back to the battle weary soldiers who are watching this from afar, and saying, basically they say something like, I can't believe she saved us like this, but do you know what's in that forest?
Yeah. And I'm going to clarify the beginning part of this is there is a fallen enemy soldier on the ground. That's where she gets the horn from, is it's his horn that she...
Oh, so it's not the horn
So
of
it's not
Rohan.
like the
It's
horn of Helm, or
Yeah,
like the horn of Rohan.
it's a Haradrim horn then. Interesting.
Yeah, because it looks like he might have been part of the battle, that whatever battle they were in, and they don't know the Mumakil's there at first. They're just they're around the body. They're just talking. I actually think it might be her brothers, but it might not be. I'm not.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I don't remember. I wasn't paying attention enough to the costumes. It was the discussion on who's this, and she picks up the horn, and what's going on, and all of a sudden, then they start to hear this noise. And that's where the Mumakil, his footprints, as he starts to march up, and so the others, they suddenly are trying to stop it, and she picks up the horn because she's like, they're going to get stomped, and that circle, when he says it's a panorama, it literally circles around her, so you get. I think
that scene is in the Japanese trailer because it's ringing.
Yeah,
yep.
It is.
It is. There's a much shorter cut of it in the domestic trailer. Like it's a little bit more extended in the Japanese trailer.
Yeah, but it's a very cool scene because they've done so well with the visuals of the terrain that it's not like this.
And there it is. All right.
Where
I also
it's towards the end, I think.
Whoop.
Oh, spoiler.
There are no spoilers.
That is not a wedding dress, by the way.
No,
you're right.
That is very reminiscent of Eowyn's white dress, as in the American version of the trailer, as she's seen walking to spy on the riders coming up to Rohan.
Okay, that was super useful.
All right.
Thank you for indulging me.
Oh,
Well,
no,
thanks
no. You asked about
Yeah.
it yesterday, and so yes, I
Gotta
have.
find the horn now.
I gotta find that. You know what? I don't think I've seen screen grabs.
Well,
Let's
yeah,
It's
I
just
mean,
toward
now
the
that
finish
you
checking out
mention
the
end.
it, like
audio.
looking at, like remembering what I've seen of it, I'm like, yeah, that does seem more like a horn of the Haradrim than of
Yeah, because it's a
Rohan, because
very
it's
circular.
like black and red and
Yeah,
like
and
kind of
it's
ornate.
and it's one of those ones that's very
Hmm.
circular, like it was on a goat. One,
Yeah,
it's got
yeah.
several. Yeah.
But I
Ooh,
mean that
I
that
wonder
completely
where it is.
changes my theory of what was going on, but that's cool.
Okay, so should we go back and start at the beginning then, Justin?
Yeah, let's do that now. I feel like since we're talking about the Japanese trailer, we should talk about that. Demosthenes, what what do you mean Japanese trailer? Are you telling me that they released two different trailers?
There are two separate cuts. They're actually very, very different. I
Very
mean,
different.
there is overlap, but they're very different. And the Japanese cut was so much more dynamic. I
Better.
was super impressed by it.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
I
but
ran a straw poll in our War of the Rohirrim channel asking which trailer people preferred, and I mean this is not scientific, but it won. The Japanese trailer won 13 votes to nil.
can I
Everyone preferred it.
can I posit my theory? I think it's because in Japan, anime is not seen as like a kid's medium. It's just yet another medium to see things in. And I think that the American version had to make more of a bridge, which is why we're seeing more of the clips of the live action movies segueing into the film. Just like, look, it's this world. Really, it's this world. And then you're gonna have this world, but it's based on this world. And so I think less of that had to happen in the Japanese version of the trailer to really sell the audience on it.
I'd agree with that.
Justified why they
Yeah,
were in
yeah, I
Rivendell.
I agree too. I also noticed like in the Japanese trailer, it seemed like there was more dialogue happening, and it seemed like there was more banter between the characters. Unfortunately, my Japanese is not strong enough to know what they were saying, and I didn't have time to like send it to one of my friends who speaks Japanese to try to translate this. But I don't know, maybe somebody in the chat has already done that.
There's a Google Translate, but I was super busy last night. I haven't watched it yet, unfortunately, so I can't comment.
And
Yeah,
even
I
though the
mean
picture,
the opening shots of this, I'm just playing it through. Like even the live action opening shot is a totally different than the regular American trailer, and it opens right on Hera and
It
her face.
it goes
Yeah,
it goes
it goes
really
much
hard.
faster.
It goes
Yeah.
hard.
Yep.
I,
Mhm.
I really liked it. I thought the US version was nice, but
Strangely stilted.
Japan,
Yep.
it was
Oh,
just
there's the horn. Whoop. There we
much
go.
better.
There,
Okay, Eagle of Manwë. What you doing in Rohan?
These
well, what was
shots are so much
interesting
more
also
dynamic.
is I
Yes.
really like
I think that feels smoother
town.
too.
I loved when she rode through the town and you see like one of the little girls is waving at her, and I'm just like, it sort of humanized
Hmm.
the whole, this is a town, this is an actual town where people live, as
It
opposed.
shows more of the story. I the US trailer seems more restricted to the first act,
yeah.
and
Yep.
the Japanese trailer is content to show more of the entire story.
Page 4 of the story instead of page 1 of the story, if we're
Yeah.
talking about the appendix.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, right up to the end.
So
It's-
brief.
I found a
Mhm.
YouTube video that has subtitles. Let's see if I can bring that up. I don't want to play the video because of copyright, but I'll just play the. We can we can see the subtitles. Peter Jackson.
There's a
presents-
scene in there where Hera is riding on horseback with a friend of hers, and there's some banter going on between them while they're like rushing away from something. That I was really curious to see what they were saying.
And of course, the screen for us is minuscule, so we can't see it.
You can click on it and pin it, and then you'll be able to see it larger.
Yeah, there we go.
Uh,
I'll take the throne.
I like that the
So
transliteration is Hela for a second there.
Was there any of this dialogue on this translated version that stood out to you, Damas?
Um, the castle. I never said it was a good.
okay,
It's kind of
nice.
funny.
Never said it was a good plan.
Even if I fall,
Oh,
you
that's
Ooh.
interesting.
I bet
Yeah.
that is to her cousin,
Oh yeah.
sister's son, who
Freylaf.
spoiler. Yeah,
Is that how you pronounce it?
Rayla. I have no
Freylock.
idea.
Freylaf? Freylaf?
Sure.
I was saying Freyloff in my head, but that's just sort of an educated guess.
Mm.
That's
Um,
incredible.
I did see Freyloff listed in the cast on IMDb. So
Cool. As it should be. So, so we've seen Saruman several times now, so it's not really a secret that Saruman features in the end part of this. I
Don't think it ever should have been.
right. Well, I don't know, but
I mean, it would be like a nice surprise for like people who haven't read the story, but I do like that they are not shying away from that.
yeah, in the tiny bit of the Annals of the King, he doesn't come around until a few kings later. But I do like that they have incorporated him at this time. I think that they might as well, just like the
Yeah,
whole Frodo waits until his 50th birthday before he does anything about the ring. Yeah, that was unnecessary
actually,
for Peter
yeah,
Jackson, and I think that not revealing Saruman until several generations later would be silly, considering that he's right there.
yeah.
So I think this was a
I
good choice.
Yeah, I was just rereading. I was reading this section, and Saruman actually shows up when Freyloff is crowned king. So it is
Hmm.
shortly after the events of this movie,
The
rather than
And
like a
steward.
few kings later.
he's given Isengard a few kings later, I think. But
He's
No, it's
he's
immediately.
he's he's given Isengard pretty pretty shortly
Ber
after. Like
yeah,
it
the
that all
steward
happens.
Baron gives him the
Yeah,
keys to
Stuart
Orthanc.
Baron sends him there with the keys to Orthanc, and he's sort of set up as like a friend and ally. And it's only like a few kings later when they
Out
start
comes the
realizing,
book.
oh, maybe he's not our friend.
Out comes the book. Meanwhile, yeah, the like I said, can we go back to some of the parts where we're in the city where we see Hera riding through the town or the city?
I was actually using the book to prop up my laptop.
That's Edders, isn't it?
I think so. Let me
Yeah.
get the frame by
Yeah,
frame
that's
going.
that's Hera
That's a
riding
shot.
through there.
Shot up the hill.
Yeah.
That's Helm's Deep, but then
I think they're calling it the Hornburg. It's not actually
Yeah.
Helm's Deep. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Not yet.
Yeah, it's not
Yep.
called Helm's Deep
All right,
there you
until
go.
after.
After
Yeah,
this,
that's a shot up the hill of Meduseld. It looks really good.
it
Yeah.
does.
What
And this,
what I like is that Edoras just seems more vibrant than what we saw in Lord of the Rings. Like it just seems like there's more activity or more people there, whereas
There's
in Lord of the Rings it felt like this really sad, put upon city that was just hanging on by a thread.
there's
Hey,
a
no,
seasonal contrast as well.
you guys are
Yes.
correct about this passage in Appendix A. I had misread it, and I was like, for it was not until the time of King Folkwine that they recovered their strength, ... But it was at the crowning of Freyalaf that Saruman appeared. So thank you. I understand that better now.
Yeah, no problem.
It was very convenient
this-
appearance. Just saying.
Yeah, no,
It
it's
is,
great.
yeah.
just in time to,
A friend he long seemed, and maybe in the beginning he was one in truth.
What do you guys think of this real quick. Well, it went back too far, but I know like the quality of the CG animation when the
Just look at the
gate
scenery.
breaks right here.
Yeah, I've seen a lot
Yeah.
of commentary on r/anime, people not liking it. They think it's a bit not great.
But
Yeah.
didn't
It does
didn't,
feel very
like,
stylized. It's not,
It
I would
seems
say it's
it
not
feels like a
realistic.
first pass to me. Like this may not
Yeah.
be what we see in the final product. Hopefully.
But didn't Attack on Titan use a lot of combination of CGI
Yep.
and
Yep.
hand drawn?
Yeah.
It did,
It's
but it incorporated
common.
it better.
Interesting.
We don't know anything about the animation team.
There is there's obviously humans on top of this animal. Can you guys clarify for me? Is that an Oliphant until it's a war elephant and then it's a Mumakil? Is there a difference between an
Uh,
Oliphant and a Mumakil?
I
don't
believe
think
it's the
so.
language, right? Mumakil
It's-
is the
yeah.
Haradrim term for an Oliphant.
Yeah.
I'd have to look it up. I always assumed they were synonymous.
Yeah, they're synonymous.
Yeah, I think Tanya is right that Mumakil is the Haradric
Yeah.
name for it.
So is it safer to say Mumakil if there's guys on top of it, and Oliphant if there's not?
I like Mimikil. It just
I
sounds
think they're
better.
both pretty interchangeable, really.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good.
Depends if you're speaking Westron or
Westron.
Haradric.
Yeah.
All right.
Some flashback
Friends.
scenes.
Now we
all
know
the
that
way-
they were childhood friends.
Yeah.
So
anything you notice on the outfits here?
They're very detailed.
Mhm.
There's a lot of detail in the character designs.
And we haven't before seen much, with the Dunlendings, when Saruman sicks them after Rohan in the movies. By then, they're people living off the land, whereas here, there's clearly a kingdom and there's just more culture being introduced into what they're wearing. Not something that we saw later on from the Dunlendings afterwards, but this is really cool.
Yeah.
there's in the Appendix A, there's the implication that Wolfstad, hello, remind me of his name.
Freka.
Freka, thank you, was taking over lands near by Rohan, and so kind of encroaching. And part of the initial conflict between Helm and Freka is kind of about this feeling that Helm has that he doesn't quite trust this encroacher upon the lands. And especially when he suddenly walks in and wants to kind of marry his family to Helm's family. What's his rationale here? Is he just trying to take over? Is he trying to get power over even more land and gain even more control? And part of the joking way in which Helm deflects it and says, oh, kind of your holdings are as bloated as you are, and this sort of play on Freka's size has to do more with his political maneuvering, or that's how I read it anyway.
I think it was like when I read it, I saw it as like a dig kind of at both, where he's like, you've grown large, but it's all just fat. Like there's a definite double meaning in there.
But I mean, look at his son there. I mean, that is a strapping young lad on the right. Like, like he's got high standards of beauty.
Aleph or Hama. One or the other.
Someone in the chat room accurately pointed out that
I think that's Aleph, because I think that's the older son.
Wolf does not have his scar in these flashback scenes.
No, he does not. But he has it as soon as we see him as an adult. So it has to happen in the meantime somewhere.
This brings up another thing. I think Quickbeam and I have discussed this before. Has Lord of the Rings used flashbacks to an extent like this? I don't
Well,
remember.
Gollum and Smeagol. Smeagol and Diggle.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's that.
Gandalf
There's
discussing his trip to, well, when Gandalf is
Rivendell.
talking with Frodo and Frodo is lying in Rivendell and he says, "Oh, where have I been?" And then there's an extended flashback of where
yeah,
he has
yeah,
been.
that's shown in flashback. There's more flashbacks in the extended editions. Like we see some flashbacks to Bilbo as a kid. Um,
Okay,
was
all
it?
right. So it's been used.
Yeah, I'd say it's mostly LOTR is mostly PJ LOTR is mostly present tense. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, he's got 4 scars here.
yeah,
He's got a claw mark on
it
his
looks
face
like he
and
got
one over his
attacked by a
eye.
bear.
Yeah.
Yeah. But look at
What's in the
crown.
canon?
It's
What's in
also
the
got a
books?
horse.
That's Helm's crown,
The
by the
horse.
way, if nobody else
Yeah,
noticed.
so this is after he's taken the throne. So
Yes, yes, he has the crown now, the crown that Helm was wearing earlier. I
Okay.
wonder what happened.
Wow, I've just been spoiled, haven't I?
it's 4 pages, Justin. You can
Go read it. If you, if you haven't read it, go read it now. Come back in 2 minutes.
It takes 5 minutes, I swear.
Yeah.
Then you too can sound like an expert on canon.
Yeah, Scar.
But yeah, so yep, look at that scar. It goes
Yeah,
all the way
that's
down
it.
his neck, doesn't it?
That's gnarly.
Mm.
He's been in some battles.
Still looks good though.
Oh yeah.
I love the anime trope where when people become evil, their pupils dilate to pinpricks. Like the
Yeah.
more evil you are, the tinier your pupils get.
There's actually not a lot of that. I mean, anime
Well, look at
uses
Wolf just
eyes
now.
for expressiveness a lot,
Yep.
but it's more minimized in this. It's not. I mean,
Mhm.
you see really liquid eyes in something like Hibiki Euphonium that Kyoani did, but that's not here. They're not going for that sort of thing. They're not expressing emotion through eyes nearly as much.
No, and I feel
think
that
that's
that might
interesting.
be to make it sort of look Western to the Japanese
Yes,
gaze,
I'd agree with that.
which is
I'd
kind of
agree with that.
fascinating in itself, you know?
Yes. And also to make it acceptable to a Western audience. I think that's really hard for a Western audience to grasp. They think anime
be.
are big eyes and naughty tentacles.
All right, if he has a crown right
There were
here,
some naughty tentacles in here. I
There,
did notice
there
that.
were. Yeah,
We'll,
there
we'll
sure
talk
were.
about those later.
Some kind of a vine monster or something
well,
like
Yeah.
that.
we'll get there in a sec. But
What's your
if
question,
he's got
Justin?
a crown right here,
Yes.
who is he battling?
That's Hera he's battling. That's a Helm's
Yeah.
Deep.
Yeah,
That's
he's
deep
fighting
in
Hera.
winter.
Remember, so Edoras gets attacked.
Mhm.
Helm's
Yep.
Deep, separate place, and that's where the people run off to. Well, not Helm's Deep, but Hornburg.
Hornburg.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's where the
Oh.
siege happens. But so there's 2 battles.
Yep.
At least.
Well,
least two.
several. Yep.
There's two major battles, and then there's like a bunch of like smaller skirmishes, and this is where I feel like they're kind of changing what Tolkien wrote. Like, are we just gonna go full spoilers with the 4 pages from the book?
Yeah, go full spoilers.
Well,
I
again,
don't think they're going to do the eyes and the battle at the fords of the eyes.
Right.
I
yeah.
think they're
Right.
going to skip
So-
that.
Yeah, I would agree.
It
So
looks like it's
after
all going to happen at Edoras.
By the way,
Yeah.
where was Gondor when the Westfold fell?
they
Fighting
were busy with
weren't they?
corsairs.
They were
They were
busy
busy
with
with
corsairs.
I think that will mostly happen off screen.
Yeah.
I think even with 150 minutes, they won't have time, and they
Nope.
probably won't have the, that sort
Yeah.
of thing requires extra characters, extra work.
But if anyone was wondering what Theoden was referring to,
Yeah, if
here it is.
we're gonna see any Gondor in this, it's gonna be at the very end of the movie.
Yes.
What is up with
Yeah.
this green flame in the back right here? Green
it's
flame
like-
usually represents magic.
Are
Well,
they?
it's on the Mumakil. It's on
Yeah.
his rigging. It's sort of
It's
like
lanterns.
where the ends of the horns are, because when if you look at it closely, and on the American trailer, you'll see like a full shot of the Mumakil going by with the green lights, and I swear it's at the ends of all those horn things that he's got, so you can see where the edges of the So in other words, you don't go through a forest knowing, oh, wait a minute, we won't make the clearance of the forest. It'll take all of the rig off.
Could it be bioluminescence?
It
Like
might
a
be.
natural
Maybe.
light?
Could be.
That's all I got.
Or it could be
Fëanorian
Harad.
lanterns. Ha ha
It could
ha.
be
No.
Harad uses like a different flame for fuel that makes it green.
Actually,
copper.
Fëanorian lanterns
Copper.
are blue, aren't they?
We're in our first shot here of the big tower, and I just realized this is the first shot of her white dress. So they are at Helm's Deep. The assumption is.
Yes.
Yeah. I
Yes,
think
that's the Helm's Deep. That's the deeping
Hornburg.
wall.
call it the Hornburg because it's not Helm's Deep yet.
Yeah, that's a long wall,
Hornburg.
not the tower.
And who said
The
that
siege
white
tower.
dress is not a wedding dress?
It's not. It looks
Tanya
very
did.
much like Eowyn's dress when she when we first see her, actually.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
the iconic scene.
Yep.
Yeah, so part of that is the sleeves and all that.
There's a Hornberg.
Is the horns, yep. Sun.
Hamer and Haleth.
The Dunlendings really are interesting with the horse head
The-
masks,
The skulls,
horse
yeah.
skull masks.
Yeah.
Or actually,
I
it's
like it.
several
That
kinds
is
of
a-
animals, isn't it? Like I see like a bear-ish looking one, and
Yeah, there's looks like a bear one, but like the horse one, like I just feel like that is such a
Scariest
dig at
thing.
Rohan
Yeah.
because they're like, okay, we're coming for you. We kill horses.
There is a similarity to PJ's Dunlendings. Like I looked at this when the first images came out, there were also Dunlendings in the background of one of the images, and we analyzed it, and like those spears, particularly the spears and the roughness of them, very reminiscent of the Dunlendings around Saruman when he tries to rouse them. That's in Two Towers?
so true. I remember.
Yeah.
The-
I think
the- Go ahead.
I think there's an
please.
explanation for the cow skulls. Keep going, and I'll see if I can find it.
Well, there was real quick. There's a question from the chat room: is Freyleth cast? And we can exclusively reveal that
He
Lawrence
is, yes.
Williams here is his IMDb. Lawrence Williams is the voice of Freyleth.
Yeah, he's one of only like 4 characters that are actually named on the IMDb page. It's just him, Hera, Helm, and
And he was
Brian
Eowyn.
Cox.
he was in that movie Us, from a couple years ago. All right, back to the trailer.
Briefly about the Dunlendings, you might wonder, why are the Dunlendings kind of stereotypically evil, and the Rohirrim are kind of good? And it's because in the long ages of Middle-earth, men have been under the sway of Morgoth and then Sauron, much more than they have under the sway of, the elves, starting with Finrod. So it's the men in Middle-earth have always been kind of bad unless they were Numenorians. So we're coming across some of the proto-men who were only under the sway of evil for generations beyond count.
And the Rohirrim came from the Northern Territory, so they were more aligned with either elves or the Numenorians up there. And so when they came,
they were they aligned with Gondor when Gondor was under siege by Corsairs and Dunlendings, and were able to push them back and save the day. And that's how, and they were granted the land of Rohan as a reward for their assistance, and that's how Rohan came to be.
Under Eorl the Young.
Yeah,
and
the
Steward
land.
Kirian.
The land was granted to the Rohirrim by Gondor, and the Dunlendings are still aggrieved about that.
Yep.
And that continues all the way through to Lord of the Rings.
oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
This is our first shot,
Which
in
is
the
quite
snow.
the grudge, because that battle and them granting the land to the Rohirrim was like 2,500 years ago.
yeah. Yeah.
And Saruman stoked the fire of their hatred by spreading ill rumor and saying, yes, the people of Gondor and the Rohirrim will enslave you and etc., do very bad things to you. And so the Dunlendings were more prone to going and killing them all rather than being enslaved.
I
I
think
just
if
feel like-
I think if Gondor gave my land away, I'd be a bit annoyed too. So there,
Well,
you
yeah.
know, there is some justice to their annoyance.
Yep.
There is, for sure.
And you'll notice there's a whole row of bodies on the ground, and these guys are just adding one more to an entire row of I guess fallen warriors.
And
Is that
horses too.
And
is
this
that
is in
uh,
winter, so this is during the long winter when they're hunkered down in the Hornburg.
Oh, interesting.
where is that?
What do you mean?
I don't
Where is
like
that?
that's
What's the location?
Oh,
like in this shot.
Yes, this shot.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say
Well, it's not the Hornburg, that's for sure, but it's also not
Yes.
Edoras. It's probably an outlying
Dun
village.
Dunharrow? No, it's in a mountain.
No, it's not Dunharrow.
Let me ask you this: isn't there a scene? Forgive me if my memory sucks. Isn't there a scene in the movies where King Theoden says, "Leave the dead"?
I don't watch the movies that much, sorry.
I believe there is.
And like, I don't know if it's Eowyn or someone like looks at him like, what? Yeah, like this terrified kind of.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's after they get assaulted by the Warg Riders when they're on their way to
Oh,
Helm's Deep.
and Aragorn falls off a cliff, right?
Right, and that's why she gives him that look because he's saying they're going to leave Aragorn behind.
Well, this kind of
Eowyn
sets
wasn't
up
there.
that the culture
That
of
was-
Rohan is you never leave the dead.
but that was Legolas that gave that look, not Eowyn. Eowyn
Oh,
was
Oh, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
but yeah, his look of surprise when he said that, you know, and it's just because they needed to catch up to the people.
Yeah, you're right. It was Legolas. I get my pretty blondes mixed up.
Well,
What is he
well,
doing with no sleeves on out in the cold?
He
Now
needs his punching arm free.
Yeah.
so I have this vision.
Well,
of this.
there's another shot in here where he's fighting what looks like an ice troll, and
Well,
Yeah.
So
we'll get
this
there
is-
when we get there. But I
Yeah,
have this
yeah.
vision of like this movie inspiring a bunch of cosplayers to get fit and swole. And Comic-Con next year is just gonna have a bunch of like just jacked Lord of the Rings cosplayers just walking around like and
Rohan. Lots of Rohan.
So here's a map of Helm's Deep, and so there is land around it that could very easily be this sort of high flat on top of the mountain where they are fishing out the dead and the horses and stuff. So
Okay.
plenty of territory that could be used.
There
there
are
any-
ways up into the mountains from the glittering caves.
Yeah.
yeah.
well,
Yep, so the land
my-
behind them also. Yeah.
The big question is, guys, you like with the limited text, is these snowing scenes related to anything you know of in the text where there's a
Yes.
battle, a bunch
yeah.
of people die, and Helm
Oh,
and
yeah.
Hera are alive?
Mhm.
After they sequester themselves in the Hornburg after Edoras has been taken over by Wolf, it
There
begins
is-
what Tolkien calls the Long Winter.
Long winter, yep.
Mhm.
And the hobbits refer to it too, quite often when the wolves came into the Shire.
Yeah, and so like everybody's in the Hornburg, they're starving, they don't have any supplies, and it's a really tough time for everybody.
Neither does Wolf.
I have a side question.
It hurt both sides.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It hurt both sides.
Oh, yeah, because yeah, nothing's growing and you can't forage for food and you're fighting with the natural animals for,
Yep.
you know, your horses are dying.
And armies require lots and lots of food.
And I just realized, since we also are getting the introduction of Saruman, I wonder, was that a natural winter? or did Saruman have anything to do with it? I mean, we know
I
he
think
all snow.
I think the implication is no, but there's no explicit
Yeah.
evidence to say.
Yeah.
There's nothing saying that it was like caused by anybody. Of course, like I mean, Sauron did cause a plague in Gondor and Arnor, so
Mhm.
earlier on, so who knows?
The
And
chat room says Bilbo's parents die in the fell winter.
right.
Yeah, they
That's
drowned.
right.
Can you imagine if this movie connects Bilbo's parents to
No, it
everything?
won't. No, it won't.
I hope not. I feel like that's too much of a distraction.
I don't think they would go outside of
Long ways away.
Gondor. You know, a reference to Gondor they might do, but not this, not that.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that horn.
Yeah,
All
it's
right,
not-
that's a
Want to
cool
see that
horn.
at Dragon Con next week. Someone be Hera at Dragon Con next week, please. It would be so cool. Look at that.
Oh, you
And
know
look how
there are
it's
cosplayers working
actually a dragon.
furiously on it right now.
It's actually a dragon. It's got the scales going up the back and
Oh, you're
everything,
right.
the mouth and eyes.
Isn't it a fish?
It could be an eel.
But it's got that you see the
Yeah, the ridges
at the
down the
back.
back.
Yeah. It could be a dragon. Yeah.
It is so cool.
Well, so
I think it's a fish.
What peoples made that horn?
Corsairs.
Looks
Or
very
says-
much like the
What?
Haradrim, yeah.
Yeah, like well, you said in the extended version of this scene that she picks it up.
Yeah, from
because it was
one of the dead.
It was a fallen Harad.
Now it is still a horn, so it does come from an animal, but then they clearly designed it. They clearly carved
Yep.
into it to make it.
Yeah, we were wondering what culture created it.
We'll find out what
Yeah.
culture, whatever
Yeah.
culture that fallen soldier came from.
So
Yeah.
I am wondering, I guess the Haradrim allied with Wolf sooner than in the 4 pages of canon, if she's already seeing the Mumakil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, trying to figure out what the order is, you know, because trailers are ephemeral and never actually
Yeah.
make the right order.
True.
Well, Wolf needs an army to conquer a country.
Yeah, like
But he's
he
got the
allies himself with
Dunlendings.
It's not enough.
well, but
Hmm.
yeah,
That's
he
what I
allies
would have
himself
said.
with like the enemies of Gondor pretty quickly after
They kill
Helm
his
kills
dad.
his father. Yeah.
The extended scene that we showed at Comic-Con this year, San Diego Comic-Con, I have to tell you guys, she blows this horn longer than you think. It's
Yes.
incredible.
Yes. Yes. It's like an opera singer holding a note
Wow.
a while. And like I said, they spin around, but they spin around more than once.
Do you think
Cool.
it's supposed to evoke Gimli blowing the horn of Helm at the Hornburg from Two Towers? Was that Two Towers? Yes, Two Towers.
Yeah.
I wonder
Sure.
if this
Did it make you
scene
think of it?
I wonder if this scene sets up her blowing the horn at the Hornburg when everybody else is exhausted, and maybe she has.
Well, I mean, like that's kind
She
of
rallies.
the interesting thing that I'm wondering because in the appendices, it talks about how Helm would leave the Hornburg and do like these little solo missions to.
Doesn't he blow the horn before leaving? And then they
Yes,
become afraid
he
and
blows
they
the horn
flee?
before leaving, and then he blows the horn when he's on his way back.
Right.
And then
And
he goes
so-
out on like a solo mission and sort of fights
Kills people
fights
with
the
his bare
Dunlendings as, like-
hands and
yeah.
stuff. Yep.
Yeah, he fights them barehanded, and I wonder if in this movie they're gonna switch that to rather than Helm doing it, it's Hera who's doing it.
No, I
I
think they're
think
probably
Helm will still go out.
Maybe both.
Yeah,
Blowing the horn, you mean? Yeah.
this particular horn thing is specifically in defense of
right.
with her and the Mumakil charging at them. She is basically trying to get its attention. And who knows, it might be a horn. When I first saw that sequence, I was thinking that's the horn that triggers it. It's not just getting its attention. It's like, oh, I go to battle when I hear that horn. That means charge or something like that.
That makes some sense because it's the same instrument that maybe its owners used. Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't
Yeah.
that what
That was
the
kind of what I
rogue-
was getting from your description.
Yeah.
Isn't that what Carthaginians did with their elephants?
I
Probably.
believe so.
Historically?
I believe so. Yeah.
It rings a bell,
Mhm.
Blows a
It
horn.
make-
which is neat.
yeah, it would make sense. And I have a feeling that it's the Huns coming over with the elephants. That's the entire reason the Mumakil exist in
So
Tolkien.
we have a lot of staring at this eagle. We have a lot of sudden eagles recently
Yeah.
in our new Lord of the Rings
Yeah.
media. And
Yeah,
so, what do you
We
think
sure do.
one of the scions of Thorondor is doing over here?
Before
Well,
we move on real
I-
quick,
I-
here's a picture of what the horn looked like in Peter Jackson's movies. So
Oh,
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool.
yeah, because we do remember he blew
Very
it when
bejeweled.
they started charging. I mean, it was like he blew it, and it was like game on.
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. But
all right,
to go back to the eagle, um, again, there's mountains behind the back entrance through the glittering caves out of the Hornburg and Helm's Deep goes up into the mountains and allows people to escape. And so the mountains is a place where the eagles normally reside anyway, or in mountain.
So the eagles in The Hobbit live up near Bjorn and his crew, correct? The very large eagles.
Yes, that is correct.
Yes.
So, but this is like, 200, 150 years earlier than The Hobbit. So maybe they
It's
have
also
moved
a
in that
lot
time.
further south. Well,
Yeah,
It is further south.
I
So
wonder
here we go.
if
Eagle
there's
Eyrie on
some
the map.
relationship between eagles
Far
and the
north.
Eothiad, because the Eothiad live for a long, long time in the Vales of the Anduin.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all I got. That's the only thing I could think of.
Okay.
Stephen, speaking of eagles, I believe you've been covering the footage first screened at Annecy. Is this the same bird that was described at the French Film Festival? Like, doesn't she
Believe
write it?
so. No, she doesn't write it. She tries to feed it or touch it, and it shies away from her and leaves. So it's obviously a wild creature. It must serve for some purpose. You don't have random eagles in,
No,
college.
not in Lord of the Rings.
There's
I-
a story purpose to this that will emerge later.
I wonder if like she's trying to form an alliance with the Eagles to help them out while they're sequestered in the Hornburg. Maybe
Mhm.
that's what's going on here.
There's
Trying to get some
or
Eagle reinforcements.
it's a trope thing. The
Well-
eagles are free and cannot be commanded. Like
Mhm.
they don't even they're not they're friends with Gandalf, but they don't work under Gandalf.
Right.
They're their own independent thing.
Mhm.
Hey, we've got this Hera character.
They are the
Is-
eagles of
Is
Manwë,
there
especially
is there
the
a
large
parallel
ones.
here? A thematic parallel is
Yeah,
the
could
presence of
be.
the eagle saying something about Hera's character?
In the
there's-
Silmarillion, the eagle shows up to rescue Maedhros from hanging above Thangorodrim
Yeah.
when Fingon rides up and Maedhros begs him to shoot him and put him out of his misery, and Fingon prays to Manwë, and Manwë sends an eagle to snatch the arrow out of the air and then go rescue Maedhros. So eagles have been stepping in to rescue people from, the beginning of time and near the beginning of the sun and moon. So I'd say that
Yeah.
this is not a coincidence.
It could be even simpler.
It's not,
There's
but
a
also
comment.
like the rescue of Mithros seems like a much higher stakes conflict than this.
Never know.
There's a
It
comment in
depends
the
on how
chat
much-
room that says simply this Moy the fourth says maybe she's just using an eagle to send a message. Maybe this is the post office.
Ah.
Oh, maybe
Middle
Could
of
trying
the
to get word to Gondor. And Gondor's
Yeah,
like,
maybe.
we got our own problems.
And shortly
There's a
after
mom-
that, they're like, let's put those beacons in the mountains. Like,
Yeah.
actually, that has nothing to do with it, but yeah.
Isn't this
Wait,
from
the red
early?
arrow, right?
No?
So in the books, the red arrow was used to get the
Look at
help
the
of the
mountain.
Rohirrim.
Look at
think
how clear the mountains are behind it, the mountains and the clouds behind that image, just as she's reaching for him.
she looks younger. I
But
think
just look
think
how
that's a
beautiful it is.
flashback scene. That's like
Oh,
early in her
possibly.
life.
Yeah, it could be.
Is this the opening scene? Is this from the opening scene that has been
Well,
discussed?
they showed 16 continuous minutes at Annecy.
Wow.
Isn't that not correct?
Yeah,
Wow.
Like that, yeah.
it was the whole opening scene of the movie.
Yeah. So this is early in the film, and I would also assert that it's a flashback. This is like early in her life.
Okay. That makes a lot more sense.
Her young adulthood, shall we say? Because she's a lot older. She looks in her like late 20s, or maybe 30 at the time of the events where Wolf and Frigga and stuff.
Yeah.
Which would make her really an old maid already.
Yes. Let's not go there.
Yeah. Well, although I could see like Freka like saying, you should marry Wolf. You'll never get another chance. I'm doing you a favor."
He is very attractive. Scars aside.
Hold
Yeah,
on.
there's Helm fighting. Is that a snow troll?
Oh
It's a
my,
snow troll.
it does look like one, yeah.
With chains on
And-
his cuffs.
Mm.
Yeah, that's not unusual for some of these beasties that they are controlled by something bigger and meaner and stronger than them.
Well, this brings up an interesting question for me. Just reading through this, and Demis and Tanya, maybe you can fill me in on this. But it seemed to me like when they went to the Hornburg, it hadn't quite been uh, the connected to the glittering caves yet. It seemed like it was kind of isolated from that. Am I wrong in that, or is that something that I'm misreading?
You mean that
I-
this might come out of the caves?
That like this might be like Helm like trying to get some more fortifications and going into the glittering caves for the first time.
And suddenly encountering some of the things that had lived there.
Yeah.
Maybe, perhaps. That's an interesting idea. Although the fact that this troll has a chain means that it's been,
Controlled by
suborned.
someone.
It's been
Yeah.
controlled by someone, yeah. Although
Orcs.
like this could be just an old troll from the time of Morgoth.
Yeah, that's a stretch.
That's a stretch, yes.
That's a stretch.
Let's see.
But yeah, it's a
What I like about that particular scene is how demented Helm looks.
yeah.
He looks crazed, which fits at that point of the
Mhm.
story because he goes mental.
Yeah. No, he goes
With grief.
completely nuts.
Yeah,
Both
he's
of
a
his sons are dead.
Yep.
His
Yeah.
people
He
are
ripped
on the
his
verge of
shirts
being.
off. He ripped
conquered.
his sleeves off in the ice. Like, he's crazy right now.
Helm grew fierce and gaunt for famine and grief,
Yeah.
and the
You-
dread of him alone was worth many men in the defense of the burg. He would go
Tanya?
out by himself, clad in white, and stalk like a snow troll into the camps of his enemies, and slay many men with his hands. Yep.
And you mentioned the eyes earlier, and we
Yeah.
can see the eyes there right now.
Yep.
Those
Yep.
eyes, they're mad.
Yeah, the pupils are so dilated they're almost glowing.
Does he go full, like, Dragon Ball Z? Like, and suddenly there's a glowing...
They're not doing that. They're not doing
Like-
that.
No, we're not
No.
doing magic. We're not doing magic.
Even
What
even if
I love-
you look at the Freaka fight, and it's very realistic.
Yeah.
There's
Although
no
I will
like
say,
power
like, I
level
kind of liked it
9,000
better.
stuff.
I kind of liked it in the text how like it's not really a full-on fight. It's just kind of Helm just like doing one solid punch and that's it.
Yeah.
But in this one, like
but Fricka
Fricka gets a
gets
few blows in before he gets laid out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is
they're
this
hewing to realism,
horns?
not to anime moves.
Right.
And
This
are
is
those
some-
actual horns on the head? Because maybe he's not an orc. Maybe he's something else. I mean, not a troll. I mean, because those look
I
like
think it's a snow
Like a
troll.
Balrog?
No, it's not Balrog.
Because Helm is as strong as he is wouldn't stand a chance.
No,
Have
no.
we ever
But
seen a
those are
troll with
horns.
horns like that? I mean, that's straight out of legend.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it might be another beastie.
Justin, do you have the cover for the coloring book?
Let me find it.
Does look kind of Balroggy, doesn't it, with that
Because
shape of horn?
the coloring book has a snow troll on the cover.
Oh, well, that's convenient.
It is very convenient.
I just read the passage about the Hornburg itself. Let's see. It says the Rohirrim were defeated and their land was overrun, and those who were not slain or enslaved fled to the dales of the mountains. Helm was driven back with great loss from the crossings of Isen and took refuge in the Hornburg and the ravine behind, which was after known as Helm's Deep. So that's basically all it says.
Okay.
And it does
All right.
have both metal, chains on, and it's almost like water buffalo horns.
Yeah.
I think that's the
Oh,
same
look
creature.
at that. Yeah, it does look like it. Cool. Good
Oh.
call. Good
I
call.
mean, it's a cool look for sure.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And a beard. It's like I'm just sitting there thinking of Bert and Tom and Bill.
Yep.
Didn't have any facial hair.
Why is Hera crying?
Why wouldn't she be?
Well,
Her brothers are
good
dead.
question,
Her
but still.
father's
Well,
on his
it
way.
looks. This is a scene where it looks like Helm is shutting a door on her. Like maybe he's shutting her out of the Hornburg because it's not safe
opposite.
inside,
The
or he's
opposite.
shutting her into the Hornburg while he goes off on one of his solo missions.
Yeah,
Is
probably.
this the same hill that the Rohirrim use in the Two Towers?
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes, it is. You
Oh,
can
it
see
sure
the
is.
Look at that.
you can see the siege tower
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
next to
The
the wall.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this is
It's
a
the same
long
angle.
battle
Only
where
this
they
is-
like build infrastructure.
Yeah. So
Yes.
are these Rohirrim or are these Dunlendings who are coming in there?
I think it's some sort of Rohirrim rescue force. Maybe that's the very end. Maybe that's Freya
Oh yeah.
coming
When
out of
Freylof
Dunharrow.
comes in with
Yes.
his army.
Yes.
Okay.
That's all I
Yep.
do.
There he is, the man, the myth, the legend. Yeah, I believe Demosthenes, you had your first inklings, thoughts that Saruman would be in this movie.
I had read the passages, and since everything concluded with Saruman, I was like, they're going to have Saruman. And so I put this to Philippa when I spoke to her, and she was like, I cannot comment or confirm or deny. And that was
We got
hilarious to
confirmation
me
now.
because that basically gave it away.
What?
Yeah.
If anything looks like
The-
it's a wedding, it's this. Look at the flowers tying back the
Yeah, this is
ceremonial
Coronation.
bags.
Well,
Or a
winter is
coronation.
gone.
Could be.
Yeah,
could
this
be.
is definitely Freylof's
Freyalof's
coronation.
coronation. Yeah.
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 And then what happens to Hera? I wonder.
I have theories.
That
Yeah,
that is
But
the
I need
real
to reveal
question.
them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep that to myself because I want to write about it. I'm not gonna say.
Okay.
I think I know.
Eagle.
Like and subscribe the OneRing.net to see all the theories. Real quick,
If I could just talk,
Japanese trailer. We haven't even gotten to the US one.
if I
The
could just talk
Japanese
about
trailer is the
Saruman.
superior trailer.
But there's some beautiful shots in the other film that are just sublime.
True.
Yeah. I mean, for one thing, I love the use of fire and the way they bring it to life, and it looks real.
I have a very specific thing to talk about Saruman here, but Demosthenes, you had some thoughts.
I just think that okay, so we got this Helm story, and Tolkien obviously put a little bit of effort into it, and I've often wondered, why does it exist? Why does it even exist? Why do we have this Helm story? And it's really cool, don't get me wrong, but I was curious, so I thought about this for a long time. And we know Tolkien came up with stories as explanations for events or words or stuff like that. And so I suspect, this is my guess, he probably thought, how does Saruman come to inhabit Isengard? And that was a puzzle. And he felt this was a puzzle he had to solve. And this is just me guessing. So I'm not saying this is actually true. This is just my guess. And so he came up with this entire backstory that involves Helm Hammerhand and all this other cast of characters. It was really, really cool, solely to explain how Saruman gets to inhabit Isengard and ends up in control of Orthanc. That's why this story exists. I think that's really interesting thought.
I like that thought and I agree with it because that is just a very Tolkien thing to do.
It is a super Tolkien. It is exactly what he
Mhm.
would do. And that's why, well, I think it's true. You can say I'm crazy, but yeah. Anyway, that's a little sidetrack. We can go back now.
All right. Well, I've got my
I
own.
buy it. I buy it 100%.
While we're peer reviewing that theory, I've got another theory. According to this tweet from executive producer Jason DeMarco, who was on our panel at San Diego, and we can reveal to you guys he will be joining us at our DragonCon panel. Yes, the executive producer actually tweeted this yesterday, and we might have a chance, we will have a chance to see him in person next week at DragonCon and maybe ask him about this, because he says, yes, Saruman appears in our movie as he does in the original Tolkien story. So great to be able to do Christopher Lee in anime.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, you can tell by the face.
Well,
Yeah, the eyebrows. So good.
why did he mention Christopher Lee? Because are they going to use Christopher Lee's AI voice?
It would come down to
Uh,
whether his estate would allow that. If his estate allows
Yeah.
that, I think that's okay, but it has to be his estate approving it.
And
Yeah, I would
someone
say, like,
could probably do a very good imitation.
Isn't there someone from who did Star Wars stuff that is very close in voice to Christopher Lee?
Peter Serafinovitz?
um
I don't
the
know.
guy
Sure.
who did the voice of Count Dooku in the Clone Wars,
That's the guy. Yeah, that's the guy.
he did a pretty good job. I can't remember his name, but he did a really good job.
I'm not a Star Wars fan, so I don't know. I just pick these things up.
Because it's a lot easier to do if you have a voice
Corey
actor who
Burton.
can do it, then you can say whatever dialogue you want. Whereas if you're going to use recordings or AI, you're sort of constrained by certain sounds of what exists. But of course, he's got such a long filmography that
Yes.
He-
And
Well,
it is a
listen,
cameo.
Listen,
it is a small role, and also, like, he did an entire Tolkien audiobook. He did the audiobook for Children of Hurin, so it's not like
Yep.
you don't
Mm.
have copious audio samples.
Mhm.
But having said that, I would much rather a sound-alike
voice
do
actor.
the voice rather than do an AI rendering of Christopher Lee's voice, even
Yeah.
if the estate says it's okay.
There's going to be Jay.
I have a
J-Dub.
different. I don't know. I'm all in on AI, and everybody argues with me over it. But we have Christopher Lee is one of the most iconic voices of all time. We have he has been in more movies than any other actor. He holds the Guinness Book of World Records for movie appearances. I mean, he is the most prolific. So there's so much data of his voice that you can ingest, and you can probably get. AI voices are so good right now. I have no doubt that this could be the best use of AI, way better than Star Wars using deep fake facial technology like they did on The Mandalorian and on Rogue One. I almost would prefer AI voice than another actor, doing not a parody but a tribute to this. I almost would prefer saying them coming out and just saying, we've worked with the estate of Christopher Lee, we have the greatest technology in the world, and this is what it's going to be, Christopher Lee's voice.
It'll be
ready
super interesting if they do that, and I cannot wait for the debates that are gonna erupt in our fandom.
Yeah,
I bet that he's not going to answer.
it's definitely a contentious issue, and
Yeah.
I'm definitely on the side of always put a human in there if you can.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, the guy who did the voice of Dooku in the Clone Wars did a really good job sounding like Christopher Lee. And so I'm okay if they decide to go that route. And
But really, what's the difference? Like,
but like also
if you get a guy that sounds like Christopher Lee, that is mimicking Christopher Lee's character tone, you might as well just use the real thing in
No, you're
AI.
missing the acting part. You're missing the acting part. With an actor, you get acting for whatever sequence you're in. With an AI voice, you can
now
voice
the flip side
doing
of
that
that is that
mimic.
this is very likely to be a very short scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe only a couple lines of dialogue, and it won't matter too much.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a short scene, Demosthenes? I mean, you just said this might be a whole prequel story just to get him into Isengard. Do you think he is a cameo?
I think it's a bit part. Yeah, I thought about this. I wrote a long thing about how they could use Saruman if they wanted to use him more extensively. Like we know from like if looking at the PJ verse, you get Saruman on top of the tower, summoning the Caradhras to create the winter. So if you wanted to, and if you had the time, what if you did the reverse? So you have Saruman in Gondor. He's working with Beren, the steward. There's this whole thing going on. And what if he was to exert his powers, shall we say, magic, art, and then use that to drive away the winter? That would be a very that would be a great intervention for one. It would also be, a deed that would deserve a reward, and that would then help justify Beren giving Saruman the keys to Orthanc. That was my thinking. If they chose to go for a larger thing, but I don't know if they will.
It would be cool if they did that.
150 minutes.
I kind of feel like what we're gonna get with Saruman is he shows up to Freylof's coronation. He announces that he has been granted lordship over Isengard and the keys to Orthanc, and we follow him into Orthanc and we see him unveil the Palantir, and that's it.
Yeah, I think that's the end of the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. That's my fun scene, actually.
Yeah. Speaking more on the long winter, I know that we were earlier discussing whether maybe it was Saruman who created it, and research, which is, me Googling, says, listen, everyone who does, says that it is unclear whether Sauron was the one who created it, but he did use it to his advantage. And because of the long winter, that's why he staged the attack on Gondor when he did, with the Corsairs of Umbar and the Haradrim.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd do that too.
Yeah,
So
Which also brings us to a certain person, individual, Justin, with rings and a black hand.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Let's get to that in a sec, but I just want to close out this voice conversation. Last one in the chat room, one of our mods on Discord and longtime volunteers. Thanks for that comment. By using AI for Christopher Lee as Saruman, the AI can also use that voice in Japanese. So the Japanese dub could sound just like Christopher Lee speaking fluent Japanese and every other language across the world.
I think you're
so
giving AI
weird.
too much credit there.
Yeah.
I don't think it's up to that point yet.
The Japanese voice
it is.
actor
I
cast
watch an AI
is
VTuber and it's really good. It speaks really well, emotively,
Okay.
and
to say-
in different languages, sings.
the Japanese voice actor cast is pretty stellar. There are a few names that have been in a whole lot of anime, including playing Wolf is one of my favorite seiyuu.
That dude is cool. I
Kenjiro
recognize that
Tsuda
voice.
is his name, yeah.
I recognize
he's been
that
in
voice.
a bunch of
I
stuff.
was like, I know that guy.
So I highly doubt that Japan would use AI for voice acting. They take it very seriously, and they already have very well-known people playing in the roles.
Well, as
And
you
they
can
were in
see,
the trailer.
As you can
But
see
great,
here,
great idea though from
there's a
the chat.
variety of opinions from fans on the use of AI. I totally understand if next week at DragonCon, Jason DeMarco, the executive producer, demurs and does not answer the question definitively
won't.
on who the voice
He won't
is.
ask. He won't answer it. He will let us all wait until the film comes out.
And I think that's fair. Actually, if they don't ever talk about it until the credits roll at the end of the opening night, I would be okay with that. Like, because if they mention anything else, it just kind of will cloud the entire marketing and conversation around this movie. So,
Yeah, I agree with that.
That is true. That is very
Yeah.
true.
all right, moving on.
And it's
I
such
mean,
a small thing.
as far as like DeMarco's comment here, I think he's referring to like the look of Saruman because I mean they're clearly modeling that after Christopher Lee's
I kind of
uh,
agree.
Yeah.
version of
Yeah.
Saruman as opposed to some
Like he
new
even has
creation of their own.
he even has
Well,
the staff that looks like Orthanc already, which is
Higgy
kind of
Baby,
fun.
Higgy Baby is a friend of Torn and a friend of Nerd of the Rings who helped us at the booth at Comic Con. You might have met Higgy Baby at Comic Con at our booth this week, the last month. He actually asks in the comments here,
Yep.
"Are you able to let us know who you have voicing the character?" And DeMarco says, "Can't say yet, but it's exactly right."
In my opinion.
Okay, we'll see.
That could go in several different directions. That's a nice
Go
nice
back up
vague
and look at his,
response right
at his
there.
costume. Go back up and look at his robes and the staff again.
Yeah.
That's the Orthanc stuff.
Yeah.
It's because it's got the
It is,
pillar
yeah.
design. It's funny that he shows up with the staff,
Well,
you know.
I mean, it's also interesting how, like, in the text, they say that Saruman came as a friend, and that
Yes.
they saw him as a friend, and he just looks like dark, sinister Christopher Lee all over right in here. It's like there is nothing about this Saruman that says I am a friend to Rohan.
I think it was around this same time where the White Council started wondering if he was looking for the rings.
Not yet. I don't
Not
think
yet, no.
No.
Like,
But
like
he
that-
was
that-
researching the Palantir at that point, and
He was
Yeah.
traveling.
one of the reasons why he wanted Orthanc, no, I'm sorry,
because it had a
Isengard,
Palantir.
was because and he had hoped that a Palantir would be there. And I think that's also right tacked onto the end of the Helm story.
Yes,
Yeah, it
he'd
is.
spending time at the east, in the east, and he had also spent time at around this time, but doesn't say exactly when, in Gondor's archives.
There's we
And at
recent
that time, he
Well,
had probably
I
found
mean-
out about the Palantir.
Yeah, I mean, he was in Gondor's archives for a while, if I remember correctly,
Yes.
because yeah, like Saruman is like the book nerd Istar. Is kind of like the best way I
So
can
true.
put it. Like,
All right, here we go.
so that's Wolf and
Wolf.
Hera.
He's got an eye scar.
Yeah.
All right, guys. This
So-
is the big creature that Philippa's been teasing for 2
Yeah.
years.
So is that like the Watcher in the water?
Although it's got a tree on its head. I mean,
It does.
it-
Yeah.
it's similar and not similar at all.
It's the Watcher's cousin.
Horn. This is what a horn looks like. No wonder those orcs were so afraid.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No,
Oh.
I have no idea, but that would be
No,
cool.
it's not a human,
It would be
surely.
cool. Like, I mean, technically, I don't think we ever like see horns specifically in
You
the Lord
see
of the
them
Rings.
Walk off. You see them walk off. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like the forest is moving, but the attack mode, yeah, you don't see what attack mode looks like.
Yeah.
I have some dumb
The-
questions. Can I just rapid fire some dumb questions? Number one,
Sure.
Sure.
is there only one Watcher in the water?
We don't know.
Well, in the
No, for
water
sure, yeah.
is a place.
Okay, number two, the Watcher in the water in Fellowship of the Ring. How does he get in such a shallow pond?
We don't know.
I don't think it's shallow.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't think it's as
something-
shallow as you think it is.
Something built the lake too. That's the other thing to think about.
Yeah.
Did the Watcher build the lake, or did something build the lake and then the Watcher inhabited it?
And the Watcher can obviously walk on land because we see him try to, chase them into the caves.
Hmm.
He's got enough tentacles too. Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
We don't actually see the body of the well, by the book, we don't see the Watcher itself, just the arms.
the
Yeah.
tentacles.
Yeah. In the book, we just see the tentacles, and then
Mm.
they chase it chases him into Moria, and then
And
slams the
then it
doors
slams
behind
the
him.
door shut. Yep.
Can you feed a Watcher after midnight?
Well, this is what happens, clearly.
There is
Maybe
a
it would
Get
be
it
less
wet.
hungry if it ate after midnight.
Yeah.
Gandalf says a line when they're in Moria, something about there are darker
It-
and fouler
was-
things than Sauron in the bones of the world.
Yeah.
And this makes me think of that.
Yeah.
Mm.
And the other thing about this creature is because the forest, if it's a forest that's near, on the lands of Rohan, that's also Fangorn. So you're right. This
Mhm.
could be
Could be a horn.
yeah,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
What's a horn?
A Huon.
Huorn. It's a tree, an ent that has fallen asleep, more or less, and become more
Yeah.
tree-ish.
Do you
It's basically
remember-
like a feral ent. Is a
Yep.
is a
yeah, that's a
This
Do you
good.
remember
surely
putting
this
it.
is not, but this would be a very interesting interpretation, very Princess Mononoke, where nature can be wonderful and nature can also be terrible. Demosthenes, please weigh in,
Also-
because this is
No.
very Japanese in a lot of ways. This
also-
this type of monster.
I'm also thinking that Old Man Willow tried to eat Merry and Pippin.
yeah.
Yep.
And
So-
Old Man Willow is very hard to tame.
Well, and
Yeah.
Old Man Willow in the book, of course, was in Tom Bombadil's lands, but he also
Right.
tried to eat all the hobbits.
Hmm.
So,
Did
yes.
you ever think we'd get tentacle porn in Lord of the Rings?
Let's not go there.
It's not.
Okay.
No.
It's not going to be.
We don't need that. We don't need that in Tolkien.
No, let's not go there.
Just saying, it's an anime.
Hey now.
Okay, so
Hey,
that
now.
wait. Go back a little bit further, because we see that scene extent. That looks like it's actually like attacking a Mumakil.
Yeah, it is. It's consuming the Mimical.
Yeah. That's why she was running towards it.
Now you see
I don't
this
think she
shot
knew it was
here,
there.
that looks more like the Watcher in the water. You can see its eyes sort of octopus-like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that is it. We're looking at a Mumakil.
Yeah, so it's
In the
it's attacking a Mumakil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. But
So
wait,
is it
I
a
don't-
horn?
that's weird.
Yeah.
It-
But the mouth just looks very. I mean, there's a tree growing. I don't know.
There's a
Maybe
tree
it's
growing
a
out of it,
horn.
but the mouth looks very Watcher in the water.
Yeah, and it's got those tentacles that also seem to have mouths on them.
Yeah. That is a wild creature design.
Yeah, that is. But if there's one thing that can take a Mumakil down, it's going to be that guy.
Well,
Uh,
for sure.
In an
In
interview,
Hayao Miyazaki. Oh, please go ahead.
in an interview with Matt Nerd of the Rings, Philippa Boyan said there are things that you can do with anime that you really can't do in live action. Is this one of those examples?
Yeah,
I'd say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, Hayao Miyazaki has long had themes of nature that has turned slightly awry because of the interference of pollution or man, and this very much looks in that vein.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
There's a
you're right. Like, I'm definitely getting like Princess Mononoke vibes from it.
There's a creature in Mononoke Hime at the start. It's a fallen boar god that attacks.
Right, yeah.
What's the main character's name again?
Ashitaka?
Ashitaka.
Ashitaka.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it flings out corrupted tentacles at it, and that then
Mm-hmm.
corrupts him. But like when I saw this first, I saw a parallel, and even the eyes, like visually, this scene and the creature design feels much closer to Miyazaki than anything else that we've seen. I thought
Yeah.
that was very interesting as well. Just the creature design is very unusual in the context of everything else we've seen. It looks more
Yeah.
Japanese, more like a Japanese anime creature than than any character designs or even the snow troll, you know?
Yeah.
But cool.
So based on this and based on your description of the extended scene that you saw at Comic-Con with Hera blowing the horn to distract or um, to
Yeah.
divert away the Mumakil, I'm wondering if like this is where she's leading the Mumakil to.
Did she know
Because
it
I
was
think,
there?
well, one of you mentioned like somebody saying, "Does she know
Could
what's in the
be.
forest?"
Yeah, yeah, the other character.
Oh, maybe she did. That
Yeah,
Gaffer Mouse said that.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that would stand to reason that maybe this is a horn.
Yeah,
Wow.
that would
Good call.
The old man Willow lives by water.
yeah.
That's true.
Yes, yes, he is.
So what's interesting about her dress is that it's sheer on the back, and she's got like a sheer. It's where some of the fluffiness comes from.
But she's also wearing her like her traveling or hunting gear underneath it. You can see she's wearing pants underneath it.
Yeah,
Also
yeah.
looks very ragged.
Yeah.
Well, they've been on the
It's
sea.
been through some wear and tear.
Lots of fighting.
So I don't know, maybe this is like I was saying earlier about how we have in the text, Helm is going out on single missions to fight the Dunlendings, and he's clad in white to make himself to disguise himself and sort of look like a snow troll. Maybe this is Hera doing that, and this is her white snowy disguise.
Hmm.
Also, red and white is a really good contrast.
It sure is.
I
Yeah.
mean, for design purposes, it looks really good.
And there's
It
Helm right
pops.
there.
Yeah.
There's Helm right
And
there.
so he's
Oh,
he's
is that the
wrecking
bald guy?
somebody's day.
Is that the bald guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, mostly bald. He looks like he's got like a little teeny.
His
Bit
name.
He's got some hair
I
on the
got it.
top. Yeah.
His name might be Reef, or something like Reef.
Okay.
Well, he's about to get punched.
He got an uppercut.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you
His
can-
day just got wrecked.
He's like, goodbye, goodbye, dude.
Does that count as anime and an anime move?
No,
Yes.
if it was an anime move, he would have shot him into the stratosphere.
And there would have been a freeze frame with the punch.
Yeah. Helm is One Punch Man though.
He is. I was thinking that earlier. Like,
Oh, we've been making those jokes for
Oh, this is
18
interesting.
months.
So here's a shield being thrown. That is very obviously a woman, a shield maiden, if you will.
Is that Hera's mother?
It's
Ooh.
possible because we've seen her.
maybe because this is her companion when she's riding on the horse. I'm not sure who this person is.
But there is in the English version, there is a woman talking to her about how the people need hope.
Yes.
It would be awesome if they had a mom around,
I
unlike
wasn't sure if that was
Legolas.
Hera's mother
Yeah.
or not.
Well, but wouldn't Hera's mother be a queen as opposed to a plain dressed woman?
Yeah, you'd think so too.
Maybe this
Probably.
is a person, a queen who is also a warrior in Hornburg. I don't know.
Well, the
Very good
internal
question.
Although I think we see her in Metacell. Like I feel like I've seen that. I saw that character design in the throne room too.
the internal code name for this movie at Warner Brothers was the Shield Maiden Show.
Mm.
Okay.
Probably mentioning Hera, though. I mean,
Yeah, I feel like that's
although-
probably about Hera.
I did read some interviews with Philippa and the writers, the screenwriters, that they wanted to go away from Eowyn so as not to be repetitive about, like, oh, this is the only thing that the Rohirrim have to offer is this kind of warrior maiden. So they wanted to make a clear distinction that she was not a shield maiden. But I think they could lean into it more. I mean, I don't have any problem with it, really. It's lovely,
mean-
whatever they did.
Go
I
back.
mean,
want to
I
hear
think,
more
like-
about it.
I think
Yeah.
Hera is like
Stop.
what I like about
Go back,
what we
go
see
back,
of
go back.
Hera. Yeah.
Justin, go back a little bit too before she catches the shield. The town, the village. What is this village?
Is that the outskirts of Edoras?
I think so, yeah.
With the thatched roofs, I mean, there
Yeah.
is actual roofs in Edoras. What is this? This is not roofs over Edoras.
No, this is an outlying village somewhere.
Yeah. Maybe
But
this is
is it a
Dunharrow.
Rohan village or is it a Dunlending village?
It might be temporary structures around Helm's
Hmm.
Deep that the Dunlendings have erected because they're trying to siege it out and it's winter.
Hmm.
That could
Could
be.
be.
That's what I think.
And she's there fighting because she's going to catch that shield.
Yeah, the
Mhm.
chat room says it's an encampment of Dunlendings in front of Helm's
Okay.
Deep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Is that Hammer or Haleth? I keep forgetting which is
think
which.
which one is the older one? Hama or Haleth? I think is Haleth the older one?
Google.
I think Haleth is the older one. I don't know. The book is not right in front of me, otherwise I'd figure
This
it out.
guy doesn't have facial hair, it looks like.
That's
So-
within an Edoras as it falls.
Yeah.
Hammer is the second son. Haleth is the oldest son.
Okay, so
So that's
Hal-
got to be Haleth.
yeah, because
then,
Haleth
if
is the
it's
one
in
who
Edoras.
falls in the siege of Edoras. Yeah.
Defending the doors of Mediseld. Yep.
Yes. In the US trailer, we also see the younger son. I'm going to just say older son, younger son, because otherwise I'm going to say it wrong every time.
Yeah, we've spent all this time talking just about the Japanese trailer.
And we still get the ring.
So here we are.
Oh, yeah, cool.
What does Mordor want with rings?
Look at all those different rings in that.
That is a lot more than 9.
Rings, yeah, he's just collecting all the rings. If you see a ring, take the ring. It's clearly what's going on, but
I mean, it's
I-
also possible this guy is just collecting any ring he finds.
yeah,
So
oh,
that-
absolutely, yeah. He's not collecting rings of power. He's collecting every ring he finds.
This looks like a battlefield of the dead, and that looks like a foot on the left, and he's just collecting jewelry from the dead.
Yeah.
Yep.
Does typically say-
That is a good idea. It's also deep in winter.
in the
I
US
wonder.
version of the trailer, you also see what looks like Helm taking a ring off his hand.
Yes, I
so
saw
that
that
he
too,
doesn't
and I wondered.
unfairly imprint his fist with
Yeah, when
the
he hit-
signet ring into someone's face when he
Yeah, I
hit.
wonder if one is echoing the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is we're not going with the Shadow of War mythology where Helm Hammerhand actually becomes a Nazgul. We're not
No.
doing that.
No.
Oh no, please no.
The other thing I want to point out is there's a lot of bare skin in this close-up. Is this Gollum?
No.
No.
With those claws? With those fingernails?
Why would
Yeah,
Gollum be collecting other rings and asking
already got his
why
ring.
would Mordor want rings?
He's
Yeah,
hidden in a
Gollum
cave
didn't
right now.
leave the Misty Mountains until after Bilbo stole the ring.
So who is
Yeah.
it?
I think it's a servant of Sauron.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's an orc lieutenant. Yeah.
There is an orc listed under the Japanese cast called Lot.
Okay.
There is also a character called Lord Fright, who we know very little about, who's
That's a little on the
apparently
nose.
being voiced by Alex Jordan. The name Fright is Danish apparently, or Scandinavian. It means Lord Fear, roughly. I wondered because so remember that at the Council of Elrond, Gloin describes how a messenger turned up from Sauron seeking rings, trifling rings. So we don't know. We know that Saruman found out that Sauron had learned of Isildur's death and was seeking the One. We know a date for that. It's actually after the events of the Helm story, but we don't know when Sauron himself started seeking rings and had learned that news. It must be sometime earlier, maybe much earlier. And so perhaps at this point, Sauron is seeking rings and sending out people to try and find them.
Except for this guy specifically says, what does Moria want with rings?
What
I
does
thought it was
Mordor?
Mordor.
Yeah, he
Mordor?
says Mordor.
Okay, yeah, you're
He
right.
says
Mordor.
Mordor.
Mordor. Yeah, so Sauron. Okay, so Sauron would be looking. Saruman wouldn't. Oh,
Hmm.
why would have to give them both names that sound so similar?
Yeah,
Uh, uh,
Saruman is not looking for the ring yet. He's looking for the Palantir.
Yep.
yes. But Sauron is looking for rings. So this is just a little, yeah. And additionally, I think Wolf needs an army. He's got to get this army. Philippa said to me that at some point Wolf commits to a decision that changes everything. What would be a really, really bad decision?
Yeah.
Allying with somebody from Mordor to give you an army to claim the throne. That would totally change Wolf's character. I
Yeah.
wonder if this character is it is the person that Wolf deals with in order to gain that army, and that the price that Wolf has to part of the price is this character wants rings. Wolf doesn't care. He doesn't care about rings. He doesn't know anything about rings of power or anything like that. So he's like,
Right.
yeah, sure. But by doing that, that commits Wolf to becoming more an ends over means person and pushes them away from Hera.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
I mean,
that's what I feel.
I'm cool with that because that does help tie this to the Lord of the Rings a little bit
But
closer, as
not,
opposed to,
but it
without
doesn't
like it
pull the rings to the
overshadowing the
center.
story we're
Yes.
telling here.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Fascinating.
Cool.
Let me so we've just reviewed the Japanese trailer, but most people in in the world watched the regular trailers. So let me just play that. We don't need
The
the
domestic
intro.
trailer. Let's not call it the regular trailer.
Yeah.
They're calling it Trailer 1 Domestic, so there will be
Trailer
more
one
trailers.
domestic. So let me see if I can turn on the audio here.
Okay,
and
so
play
those
this.
are the Mumakil with the
Yeah.
tiny light.
Yep.
Riders of the Mark! Brothers of
There's a river
Rohirrim!
there.
There was an older tale.
Okay, stop
Arise!
here. Go back to that
We come with an offer to strengthen Rohan.
Hera, daughter of Helm, I, Wolf, seek your hand in marriage.
Our fathers speak as if I were not even in the room. I do not want to marry you.
You do not seek an alliance. You seek a throne. You will live to regret this, old man.
One Punch Man.
He's dead. You will pay for this with your life.
The boy I knew would never wish for war.
The boy you knew is gone.
Fire!
There's so many of them. I pledged to fight for my king.
You know nothing of war.
I'm the fastest rider you have. People need hope, Hera. Something to believe in.
My pride, my joy. You could rule the world. You think I am afraid of you?
You should be.
What does Mordor want with rings?
Squee.
Nice.
So there's some beautiful shots at the very beginning that I absolutely love. One, of course, is the night sky behind the Golden Hall. It's just stunning.
There's a river there,
Yeah.
don't
And
you
with-
think?
With the full moon
There.
and the warriors in front of the full moon.
Is that a river or is that a swamp? That's a river. You're right.
It's a river. It's a river.
If those are Mumakil in the background, then there
I
are any
wonder if-
number of rivers they have to ford on their way up to
Is that the Isen?
Edoras.
Is that the fords of the Isen, perhaps?
Let me whip out that map again.
Maybe.
Let's see.
Having been on site at Mount Sunday, where Edoras was built, there's also a little stream there that you have to cross. So maybe it's that.
Yeah, because there's several braided rivers.
Is that the younger son?
Uh,
No,
No,
that's the older son. That's Holith.
yeah. When we get to the hall, you'll see the
Ah.
upper one is much more clean shaven.
So Edoras is right near the Snowborn.
Could be
Okay.
that. Could be that.
Okay, could be.
And then the fire, I mean, aside from the fact that the entire village is burning, it's just a beautiful shot.
It's also a very dark trailer, dark colored, I noticed. I had to brighten it on my screen a little bit.
Then we
To
have the
pull out
four
detail.
riders in front of it. Don't know who those are.
That is a good question. I don't know. Helm, hammer, hand.
Mm-hmm.
Goes.
I like that we haven't talked about it yet, but I thought that charge looked really good. I liked the animation of the horses.
Yeah.
They're actually going across water.
I was talking about it to Kilvarin, and she said she thought the horse animation was a little bit off. And I was like, yeah, it's really, really difficult. It's really hard to animate horses. It drives them nuts.
Yeah.
So if anyone from Warner Brothers is watching, this needs to be on a t-shirt or an art print we can hang on the walls, because this is a stunning
That
image.
is a beautiful shot of Mediceld.
The lighting on that is really good.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
I complain
yeah.
about everything being a bit dark in this trailer, but that's actually really good.
Yeah.
My inner dorkiness was looking for the star of Arundel up in the sky.
You come with an offer to
That
I
would
was
be an
thinking Southern
amazing
Cross.
detail if they put that in there.
Go back and see the sun. You can go back and see the younger
Oh,
son.
I think.
Yeah.
Oh, the
Yeah.
younger son. Yes.
He's on the right.
Let's go look at the younger
Yeah.
son.
He's very fair, shall we say. He
Yeah.
looks a little
So,
bit
yeah.
anime.
The one on the
Oh,
left is Holith. The one on the far right is Hama.
I like how Harleth
And-
has his head half shaved.
Yeah.
That's
What-
kind of
Like
cool
this-
as well.
Is
Like
Freyaluf? Do we see Freyaluf at all?
Some people think so.
Yeah,
There's
like
someone
the
who's
guy
handed
standing next to
crown.
right. Yeah.
Maybe.
I just
And
want to
Freyaluf
remark
is
on
a cousin.
Yeah.
to your point about the outdoor shot of Meduseld. Like, by the time we see the Third Age, this is a people's at the end of their line, right? And Theoden, it speaks to that of like he sees the end of his line. So
Well,
here,
he'd been taken over by Saruman, so he had been expelled.
yeah,
So
here we
part of that
are seeing
depression-
the colors and the banners. Like, there's so much more vibrancy in Meduseld
Right.
Yeah.
at its peak.
Yeah, like
For-
this is
Before the long winter. Yep.
yeah,
You're
this
right.
this is Edoras like at the height of its power.
Yep.
Because this is just before the end of the first line of kings, which ends with a helm.
Also, Brigo had only built it like a couple hundred years earlier, so it's
Yeah.
quite new.
That is
There's
a
the ring.
monster ring.
And maybe that guy on the left there who has the
Is
crown
Freyaluf?
could be
be.
Freyaluf.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know.
So
It looks like
that
it's still
was.
the younger son is the one in the middle behind him.
Is
Yeah.
Freyaluf the ancestor of Theoden? Like
Yes.
the direct line of Theoden? Let me look.
Yes.
Theoden.
Yes, because
And-
Theoden was the last of the second line of kings.
At this point, Freyalaf is about 33, and that looks about the right sort of age for that character design.
Yeah.
I
Could
don't
be.
think he looks he looks, in young adulthood. He's like not a teenager, he's not too old. What do we think
it
about
looks like it.
Freeka's design?
I like it. Like it definitely it accentuates like all of Helm goading him by calling him fat.
And the tats?
Very Dunlending.
Yeah,
You
I
think?
like it. Yeah,
Do
it's
Dunderlings traditionally have tats? Why does Wolf not have tats?
Well,
thought he
the
did.
On his
Rohirrim do
face
not,
cam.
so it's got to be the other culture that's in the area.
Well, the other thing to keep in mind is that Freka also tried to claim that uh he was
Yep,
of a noble line.
yep.
So maybe that is like one of his ways of trying to distinguish that, like also like just him wearing all his fancy clothes and everything.
Yeah, because he doesn't look like the other Dunlendings.
Yeah. Yeah, those you're right. Those facial tats do look kind of Herodric.
They
Uh,
they stand out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Steve,
interesting.
Steven, are you surprised that they've already released the epic punch?
I was a little when they started describing it in footage and stuff, from out of Annecy, but m-
Seems like
maybe
though,
maybe it's because we know the story, so it's not about the events, it's about the journey, you
Yeah.
know?
I mean,
It's about
also
the
like
journey, not the destination.
yeah, but also like all of the story really stems from that punch.
yeah.
Yes, it
So,
changes everything. So
yeah.
yeah, there's that as well. And they seem to have not been afraid to talk about the first act.
Yeah.
Yep. And
Setting
then,
Japan aside and it's
yeah,
Mhm.
how being totally different. The 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 Warner Brothers and Philippa and Artie, they've all been pretty candid about the first act and
Yeah.
how that unfolds.
I wonder if so in those 4 pages, there is reference of Helm going completely kind of feral, and when food was scarce, it was rumored that he would even eat humans. So I'm wondering how that's going to translate, I mean, into a character that we consider sympathetic.
I don't know if Helm is that sympathetic. He's a very grim man.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
on the pages, he definitely is a grim man, but in general, from our anime and from our Peter Jackson films, we tend to want to like these guys. So,
I
Well,
mean,
the thing
I
is,
agree with that to a degree, but also like just looking at this, like the hero of this story is not Helm, it's
nope,
Hera.
it's Hera. But Helm
So
does some increasingly badass stuff in
he
at his deep. So,
Some
he does, but I
also
also feel
some
like because
increasingly
he's not the main
extreme stuff.
character, I I
yeah.
feel like because he's not like the hero of this story, they can sort of get away with having him do some more unseemly things if they want
Mm,
to.
mm-hmm.
And they should. I
what's
think
the
they
Yeah.
We'll
should.
see.
situation? Yeah, the
Because
situation.
this is a
Right.
civil war. Who's
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they're on.
If Wolford won, then the story would be told totally differently.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
It would be, you know, Helm and Halleth and Hammer, they were
The
all the
line
bad
of
guys.
yeah, the and
It'd be Wolf was a great guy.
Isengard and
Fricka was
Wolf.
awesome. He
Hmm.
was
Yeah.
murdered.
Yep, yep.
And I mean, Gondor would pretty much be ruled by Sauron before the Lord of
Yeah.
the Rings even starts.
It's just interesting to me that we always think of Tolkien as writing these incredibly vivid, good characters, but actually he's so good at writing horror and dubious morality.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Well, this,
he probably saw that some. I mean, he's fighting with soldiers, and I'm sure some of them went almost berserker as well. I
Yeah.
mean, in
I
the
think
trenches.
I do think by saying you seek a throne, Helm is picking a fight.
Mhm.
So they are leaning into that a little.
here's a
They
And Helm
shot.
they
was
are, but
clearly
like
picking a fight.
it is kind of in line with how it goes down in the text because
Yes.
like Helm is really getting at Freka's goat like from the instant. Like he
Yeah.
even says he
I
says like listen what you're talking about this marriage is not a big deal. We're gonna have a little council. We're gonna do some other business. And then after that we're gonna talk. And then after everything is done, then he says, okay, let's take this outside. And so like I mean Helm is already like going for Freka.
yeah. I get the sense that he's not a thinker, you know?
Reactionary.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean he's definitely a brute for sure.
yeah, he's not super diplomatic.
Mhm.
This shot right here, there's that older lady in the same outfit with the same hair and the same green cloak.
Yeah,
But
this
she's
is like
standing at Meadowseld.
Is
she
that a
she is like
retainer?
some kind of major character.
She has to be, yeah.
Yeah, because like we also have that scene in the Japanese trailer where she's on horseback with Hera and they
Mm.
have that little banter where she says, like, don't worry, I've got a plan. Was this the plan? I didn't say it was a good plan.
Justin, you've watched the chat that Nerd of the Rings had with Artie
Yeah.
and did they allude to that at all?
To what?
That
Who's
that 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 Hera had like advisors or people that she talked to. I was like, remember
Not
something
really.
like
They
that.
didn't really talk to that. It never really came up like this. But we
Okay.
had
It would
talked
it
about
would
earlier,
stand
like,
to reason
where's
that
her
she would have
mom?
like a handmaiden or something.
Is that a handmaiden though?
I don't know. This is Edoras. They do it differently.
Wasn't there,
Yeah.
Stephen? Wasn't there an early leak from Annecy where, or not a leak, but a description how Miranda Otto's narration opens with
Mm.
something along the lines of, "Let me tell you about the Shield Maidens. It's not a story they often tell, or not a story they would tell you because it's about
Yeah,
women."
but we got
Interesting.
that narration at the beginning of this trailer. I mean, once it goes through the whole Lord of the Rings film stuff and merges into the map, the first thing we hear is Miranda Otto talking about a tale 200. We all know the story of the War of the Ring, but 200 years earlier, there was another story. And so that's the very beginning of this trailer.
Yeah, but I
Just
believe,
looking up the dialogue.
But I think what
yeah,
Justin is saying, like that in the movie itself, she's gonna have a line where she says, this is not a story they often tell, or something like that.
Interesting. So just to assert that she's telling it from a slightly different perspective, from the Shield Maiden perspective,
Yeah.
and
right.
that's why we're seeing more of the women. I like that. I like that quite a
Yeah.
bit.
Because I mean, in Tolkien's text, she doesn't even have a name. So
Yep. Yep. I'm glad that they gave her a name. And then there was
yeah,
a large discussion with Artie and Phoebe about the fact that they wanted a name that was in line with Haleth and Hama, and so they picked Hera.
works for me.
It's Anglo-Saxon.
Yep.
Real quick, this was a cool shot. It's reminiscent of Viggo Mortensen busting through the doors.
And there's the
Yeah.
woman again. There's the woman again right behind her.
Um,
I think that's someone up. That's someone different.
That's the
th-
page.
this shot
The young boy, yeah.
has generated a bunch of Reddit discussion. Not that we should highlight Reddit
Oh.
because it's a toxic troll, but to the point of, this is the most anime looking outfit in the
It is.
trailers.
So previously
Is-
we had discussed that those are like thigh boots. Those are not. So she's wearing
You
a
wear riding
tunic.
boots.
She's wearing a tunic. No, those are greaves that we're seeing, the white parts. And then down below she has green boots on. When she's
Yeah.
on her horse, you can see it a little better, but the boots only come up to slightly below her knee.
Okay.
And
So it's not
Greaves
an
is
anime outfit just to be anime. This is accurate to riding a horse.
And
Ah.
she has them off. She has taken them off to ride the horse.
Yeah.
The
Well,
white
I think this is a different scene
thigh
because
greaves.
it looks
Yeah,
like she's
she's
wearing a
younger
totally
there.
different outfit.
Oh,
She's
the
younger.
boots are the
She's
same.
like at
The
least 10
boots are the
years younger
same,
there.
but yeah.
Okay. I think the Muma kill, when she's like running in front of the Muma kill, you can see her outfit as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that top part, I was staring at it. There were some words trying to describe what exactly that strap was on her torso, let's say, it's a vest that fastens, it's over her shoulders and fastens in front. So there's a lower belt as well. So yeah, that's what's happening there.
Okay.
So it's things that she should be wearing, that she would be wearing, whether it was live action or not, or animated. Like,
I mean, and even if it looks incredibly sexy, that's actually fine. Not gonna apologize for the character design there. It looks great.
He's
I mean,
got
it's
a
a cool
horn.
design.
Look, he's got a horn. Helm actually
Yeah.
has a horn on his hip.
Yeah.
yeah, he does. And look at those accentuating chest plates. I mean, come on. If we're gonna talk about clothing
And the
that
pauldron.
accentuates your features,
Yeah.
Yep,
Hey, equal
Pauldron.
opportunity, male gaze,
That's
female
right.
gaze. We got it all.
absolutely.
He's got pauldrons
Horse
on
gaze.
and he's got, it looks like elbow and wrist guards and everything. He's fully armored.
Just returning to the voiceover quickly, I found the description from our insider at Annecy a couple of years ago. It says she writes, the movie begins with a voiceover from Eowyn, Miranda Otto herself! Exclamation mark. She talks about Hera and how she is a rebellious child and how she is not named in the old tales. We got to see a rough cut of this beginning, etc., etc. But that's the key point.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool.
I like that.
Cool.
How she
Yeah.
is not named in the old tales. That's
True.
That's all we got. I don't
I-
have anything more precise.
I like that though. I like
But
setting it up that way.
and it's
Yeah.
also the filmmakers acknowledging in the narrative of the show, some of the
the book
trappings of the limited nature.
information that they have.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Which
Yep.
is quite clever.
Tolkien naming every single horse, but forgetting things like Gil-galad's parentage and and Hera's
So-
name.
On that, I want to put a question to you all.
Mhm.
Background. Hera is obviously a Scion of Kings, quite important person, was involved in all this business. So why is she not named in the old tales? Why is she forgotten?
'Cause
Nobody's
everyone-
asked this yet.
Who was
Like,
Legolas's
I mean-
mother?
Oh God.
No, I mean there are many, many things that are named in Tolkien, but not a lot of women.
Yeah, but no.
Yeah.
But why? What's the explanation? There must be an explanation.
Okay,
Really narratively, there must be an explanation.
if
Hmm.
Eowyn is telling us a story about a woman who is not listed in their histories, she will probably at some time during the telling of that story also tell you why.
Yes, but
Okay.
I'm asking you why. Why do
Like,
you
why
think?
did
why
Tolkien
do we
not
think,
add the name?
No, not Tolkien.
or why
for
do
the
we
purpose
think
of this
she
story.
is,
I see.
or
Narratively,
what our theories are for what happens to
Yes.
her at the end?
Yes.
I
What do you
think
think?
she-
Oh, that's
I
interesting.
think she becomes a ranger.
You think so?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. Other thoughts?
Well, she does seem to
This
have.
is an interesting question. My
know,
mind is
it's-
blown right now.
No, I want to
There's a
write
lot
about
of
this.
there's a
so-
lot of intermarriage between the Rohirrim and Gondor. I mean, Theoden himself, I believe his mother is from Gondor.
Denethor
Yes.
as well. Yes,
Yeah.
you're correct.
Theoden, in fact,
Thingol
was born in
married
Gondor.
someone from
Yeah, so she may
Okay,
have.
So-
and all right, going back to Annecy again, we know that there was a Gondor prince who starts this by approaching with an offer of marriage, like a partnership between Gondor and Rohan using Hera.
So there's more than one.
Yes, there is a Gondorian suitor. I don't know if we see this suitor or not. I don't know. Maybe it's just arrived by
Interesting.
letter.
Hmm.
So there's that as well to consider.
Well, which makes sense again because Helm is a man. with 3 kids, and
Yes,
the best one to make alliances with other nations is usually your daughter.
that's correct. So, do you think at the end maybe she goes and marries this Gondorian guy, perhaps,
And then leaves.
Possibly.
Good.
and then disappears? I'm not convinced by that. I think
Yeah, like
that sounds like
I
it'd be
sort of
very
feel
hard
like
to forget.
I kind of feel like because like Hera would probably not want to get married because they just fought a whole damn war over that.
Yeah.
There's
You're
probably a
onto
little
something.
PTSD there.
Yes, that could be the case. There's also the matter of Freelaf.
Her cousin.
Yes,
Yeah.
who takes the throne.
Hmm.
Right.
Now, both of Helm's sons are dead, but he now has a Hera to deal with who, has excelled in this everything.
Hmm.
Probably has some sort of notoriety. What the hell does he do with her? He's the king. He's got to do something with her,
That
right? That's
see
how it
that's
works.
why I think
Married
like
her off to Gondor.
she kind of abdicates and goes off on her own and becomes a ranger. Like I don't want to
Hmm.
like I don't think that we're gonna have like her dying a heroic death in this. Like I feel like she's going to live through the end of the story.
That would relate back to the eagle, I think.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Freedom.
So, but she could go to Gondor and not necessarily be married, but just be part of the court.
She could choose self-exile,
Hmm.
which is basically what you're suggesting, Josh.
That is what I'm suggesting, yes.
Hmm.
Do you think that Freelaf actually might exile her deliberately by making her unwelcome?
Doubt
I
it.
mean,
I don't
you
think
don't think
so.
so?
Mm-mm.
Not if she saves the realm.
That ends the story with too much of a bad taste.
Yep. And
Yeah.
Saruman walking in
This
is
is a
enough of
pretty
a
dark story,
weird moment.
man.
Yeah.
It
I
is,
mean,
but it also then colors our perception of Rohan
Hmm.
in Lord of the Rings.
yeah.
Hmm.
I am
Yeah.
wondering how much of a good guy Freelaf is. It's something I'm pondering.
Well,
I think
back to the-
he's a good guy. His
mean, he does
pupils
come
are
in-
large. You've got to
Yeah.
go back to that one scene of that one
Well,
guy that we think is him. You can tell he's a good guy. His eyes, you can actually see the pupil.
His descendant is Theoden. Come on.
Yep. Yep.
That doesn't mean anything.
I know.
Well,
I'm just saying.
the gray haired lady grabs her hands.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, and says that the people need hope.
Yeah.
Yep.
So she's some kind of close friend. I'm really
She's the one
curious
who
to see who
sends
this
her
character is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she sends her off to do something.
She's wearing braces.
Yes,
Yeah.
she is.
So
She's a
so
warrior.
I think that means she's not, just an ordinary retainer.
Right.
Yeah, good call.
That eagle.
So, oh yeah, there's that tree thing, and it's it's got the Mumakil.
All the mouths.
So if eagles come from the north,
she blows
and
the
the
horn, and it starts charging after her. She runs into the forest and leads it right to this watcher.
But she's on
Horn.
horseback at
Potential
first.
horn.
So what happens to the
Big.
horse?
the Mumak is wounded too. He's got,
Yeah.
Yeah,
gaping.
It's
Very battle
He's
scarred.
hurt.
yeah, like this is definitely like a berserker Mumakil.
Yeah, but
I
she
like the
rode
design.
in
I
on
love the
horse.
eyes.
So what happened to the horse?
Oh, wait, there was
Because
a
she's
top
on
Okay,
her
so there was
shot.
another shot of it being dragged specifically into a body of water.
Yeah. So it is in water. Wow.
So
Yes.
it is a watcher
Yes.
in the water type of
Ooh.
deal.
With a tree growing from its head.
So that it
Yeah,
blinks.
that's how it disguises itself.
Mm.
That's definitely.
Interesting.
Are we confident in saying that's a watcher, not a horn?
I'm not
I
confident.
don't know.
I really don't know.
Can you bring
Yeah.
up the design of the Watcher, Justin?
Yeah.
So we can compare.
Because look at how many arms there are.
It does look more like the watcher in the water
And
here.
yeah, if you can get a shot from above like that as well, that'd be cool. Because I think we might be able to see some similarities, especially in the way the arms come out from the PJ Watcher along the back.
wrap around.
Yes. Maybe it's Cthulhu.
All we see about the horns when they march off is it's just trees moving. And then when the orcs all run into the forest, and then all of a sudden you start hearing screaming and stuff like that, and the trees are just sort of swaying, and
Yeah.
and everyone watching is like going, "Oh yeah, we're not going in there."
It's worth considering that the Fellowship, they didn't spot the Watcher.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks very
Yeah.
watchery.
Yeah,
Yep.
it does.
does.
Just
seem
the,
similar.
except for the tree.
Well,
But he's got
okay,
those
Protective
obviously,
coloring hat.
obviously
Yeah,
it took the holly trees and planted it on itself, and then it went down south.
Maybe it just
Yeah.
has a sense of fashion.
Yeah.
What was blending
It's,
in?
all
it's
the
just,
rage
it's just
to
trying to
wear a
fit in
tree.
with all the Ensign horns.
Well, it's a forest, so if you put a tree on top of your head, you blend into the forest. I mean,
Mm.
it's
In the water, though?
well,
You know, he's just chilling,
keep
he's
little
vibing.
rocks
He's like,
and
"Come
little-
on, guys, I'm a tree too."
I'm a tree in this water.
yeah,
Nothing to see here.
it's just a disguise.
But you can see the fins coming out of the 8 fins coming out of its the back of its head.
Mm.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
really
the
cool.
same thing is happening here
Yeah.
in the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Neat.
definitely
Very
is reminiscent
watchery.
of this. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
I don't know if it's the same Watcher.
I don't think it's the
This-
same Watcher either. Although
I like the ice climbing bit. She's trying to escape out of Helm's Deep, I think.
yeah.
I think she
Really?
is.
Yeah.
I think-
Although if that is the same Watcher, I want to hear that story.
Well,
You think
how
she's,
it
she's
moves,
escaping
Yeah.
Helm's Deep on her own?
She has to go find someone for help.
yeah,
Yeah.
Everything's gone to poo. She has to get help.
yeah,
She's
they're,
gonna
they're
go find Freelaf. Maybe she finds Freelaf.
Hama has already left and died trying to find them
Yes.
food.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
So
so, she's the last hope. She's like,
If she finds Freelaf, then she can bring Freelaf to Helm's Deep.
maybe she's
and go
climbing
back
somewhere
up.
high because she wants to see if she can find her eagle friend again.
Maybe.
either way, she's
Maybe.
climbing and she's not afraid to do it.
Yeah.
The crazy,
wouldn't do it.
the crazy thing about having this shot in this trailer is it's a it's
Yeah.
almost a
Yeah.
duplicate shot
I was thinking that.
from
Yeah.
the Rings of Power
Yeah,
season
got
1
that.
teaser.
Feanorian Galadriel outfit.
It
Mhm.
When was that released, Justin?
2 years
Yeah,
ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know.
She's
They
a
might
2
have had
years
it planned
ago.
already.
I don't know.
Yeah.
They like this. Come on. This
WTR has been in production for a long time.
Yeah,
This
this was
Yeah.
but
4
this was
years.
released January of 2022. That is very early
Wow.
in the animation pipeline. Very early. That's plenty of time to include a whole scene, a whole
It is.
shot.
It is. It
I
is.
agree.
Yeah. Like they can definitely. There's definitely overlap there for sure.
Do you think it's anything you can do? We can do better thing.
I do think like getting meta right now. Like I do think this is kind of Weta and Peter Jackson and Warner Brothers saying exactly that. Anything you can do, we can do better.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm still.
And there's also like a part of me that's like they are doing this because they can show the really cool elves climbing on ice stuff, which is the crossing of the Helcaraxe, because that's first stage stuff.
And that continent is dead and gone by the
Yeah.
third age. Or
Yeah.
By the way,
Yeah.
the
end
other
of second
reason,
age.
and I will add to this of the anything you can do, we can do better is they have a whole scene of Helm fist fighting an ice troll, and that was something that was unique to Rings of Power, where they fought a snow troll in the opening
Right,
scene
that's-
of Rings of Power.
That's true.
That's correct.
Wasn't Peter Jackson some kind of advisor for Rings of Power for a while?
No,
They
not
were
at
thinking
all.
about it, but he bowed out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they just
Interesting.
didn't. He offered to help, and they didn't call him back.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
got it the wrong way around.
Yeah.
The production.
So this,
Interesting.
Either way, she's going up and over.
Anyway,
I like that. That's nicely framed.
It's nicely framed. The colors are wonderful, and it's
I love the
Just-
clouds.
Yep. The background's playing really, really quite well.
Yeah.
You notice
Beautiful.
that a lot of the backgrounds are actually photography, and what they'll do is they'll take photographs, reference photographs, and then they'll make it look painterly so it blends with the animation.
Well,
That
that was
can
the other
look
thing
either
I was
really
gonna-
good or really janky, and it looks good.
I was
Yeah.
going to ask you guys, like, Weta Workshop, of course, designed this movie and hired John Howe and Alan Lee to create original work. Have you felt any of the backgrounds are from the hand of John Howe or Alan Lee?
This one looks like it, doesn't it?
This one feels so very John Howe.
Well, and Daniel Falconer also did some of the work on this.
Yeah.
Alan Lee tends to prefer watercolor type stuff.
Yeah.
So maybe some of the foresty stuff would echo him.
I'm gonna have
But
to watch
it's
the trailer
also-
all over again. Yeah.
It's also going to be the animators, you know, because they have to take the concept art and translate it. They can't keep all the detail because there's too much detail, and they would take forever if they kept all the detail.
Yeah.
So they have to make compromises, and that's when their skill comes in.
I mean, this is straight up like either one, John Howe, Alan Lee. I mean, just look at the...
Look at how beautiful that fire is.
That fire is fantastic.
Yeah,
That's a CG effect.
Yeah.
it's still beautiful.
But
Yeah, no. I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying there's CG effects in here.
But it's
okay.
designed fire. That's not that's not like an algorithm saying, "Hey, give me fire." Like they've
No.
designed that fire and those
Yeah.
tentacles.
No, they
coming out.
put work into that to get it to blend right. Like, which is why I feel like that shot of the Mumakil crashing through the fence is probably like a first pass and not what we'll see ultimately, because that one seemed a little jankier.
I
Yeah.
note that Harmer is on the left there in this scene. So he's
Okay.
with Hera. We don't see Haleth, who dies. I think at this point they're escaping.
Right.
And these are thatched roofs. But this is definitely Edoras.
Yes, it is
Yeah, I
Edoras.
mean,
Yeah,
This
they,
is the fall of
definitely
Edoras.
Yeah.
The
It is
battle's
thatched.
going badly. They have to escape.
Edoras has thatched roofs.
That charge down the siege tower is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that she just goes charging down the siege tower.
This is from that scene that we showed at Comic-Con.
This is a really cool scene with the
Yeah.
with the
You're right
spear.
here. Yeah. That
Um,
right there with her picking up the sword or the spear and riding off, and it's chasing her. That's yeah.
So she
And that's
blows
what-
the horn. She runs to a horse. She grabs this thing, and you can see the Mumakils chasing her. And then
Well, you can see she's already got the horn.
she goes into
Yeah.
the.
Kamiyama has a history with spear fighters as well.
Yeah.
Do you know of Morabito no Sere?
We do now.
You do now. It is a fantasy anime series that Kamiyama directed about 2007, and it features a mercenary warrior lady. I think it's supposed to be based in China. It's a fantasy myth. And she has to protect this prince guy, and she's a spear wielder, and it has some fantastic animation in it.
Look at there's a
Uh,
little
What
tree.
was the
I
name of
love
it?
how this
Eden of the
emulates
East?
that. Eden of the East is different. It's like a counterterrorism.
What
type.
were you just talking about?
Morabito no Sere.
Okay.
The mercenary woman's name is Balsa.
Belsa?
Balsa. And it's actually really well regarded.
Does the Momokill have an iron ring around his left front leg?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right
okay.
leg.
Yep. So they're prisoners. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's it.
it's left, our right. Yes, that's her.
Okay.
You can see the
Very
difference.
familiar.
You can see the difference in the character design, though. This is by Production IG, and yeah, it's much more anime. It's much more the stylization, the hair. There's not so much detail on the face. The eyes a little bit larger. Yeah,
Versus.
and we don't get that. in War of the Rohirrim so much. There's much more detail in the faces, which, like I said, makes it harder. Try that again. Makes it harder for them to animate.
Which is probably why they were glad when the film got pushed from April to
I
December.
suspect so. Yes. So supposedly that was because of June. I'm not sure.
Yeah, Dune got pushed first, and it took the slot that was Godzilla versus Godzilla and Kong, and then that one got moved into April, and then War of the Rohirrim was moved to December. And I kind of think it was sort of best for all the worlds, but Dune was the one that had to get moved first because of the strikes.
I think regardless, the extra time has been good for it. Whether that's allowed them to extend it as well from 120 to 150 minutes, I don't know. Perhaps.
Like, I mean, I'm glad they have the extra time to work on. I also like that now it's a December movie, as Lord of the Rings movies should be.
One of the things that was really interesting when this went live yesterday and I started sending out messages, a lot of my friends were like, I've never heard of this. There's going to be a movie? I mean,
Yeah, there's a lot of people that don't know about it.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for years, and yet, we're not cutting through. And then if you watched the Happy Hobbits, with Feely and Keely when they did their live reaction yesterday, Alex didn't even realize that she's like, in theaters only? Wait a minute, this is going to be in the movies? Like she still didn't know that it wasn't like a TV or streaming, or I don't know what she thought it was going to be, but she was surprised that it was going to be a movie. So yeah, it's kind of Warner Brothers. You got to start pushing it now. Now that you've got the footage, get it out there.
Well, this is new
They have
information.
been going very.
Down at the bottom, Stephen, I don't think we've ever heard until right now that this was going to be in IMAX.
Is it on? Does it say that? Where?
Down at the bottom, it says IMAX is a registered trademark of IMAX Corporation.
Oh, it sure does.
Is that good?
It sure does.
Where does it say that? I see Warner
Right
Brothers.
next to the WB logo.
Yeah, it does.
Oh,
next
okay.
to Warner Brothers Animation.
Okay.
And
gosh.
the New Line
I'm
Cinema.
gonna go see it in IMAX.
And New Line Cinema's logo is first, so we're gonna get the New Line Cinema logo as the Howard Shore's Stephen Gallagher music fades in, and it's going to be in IMAX.
Cool.
What did you think about the music?
I don't remember where it transitioned, so I stopped paying attention to the music once I was paying attention to what people were saying.
It's definitely different. Like, I mean, I do love that they put in Howard Shore's Rohan theme because that's one of my favorites of all of Howard Shore's Lord of the Rings themes, and I'm glad they're still using that, at least in the trailers.
It is very recognizable, and I think that's a marketing thing.
Yeah.
I think it's
If I
good.
wanted to market it, I'd do that.
Yep.
Well, and Stephen Gallagher
and they need to tie it into the
Yes.
Peter Jackson universe.
Well,
to be brutal, they do.
Is Stephen Gallagher has been putting up lots of Instagrams where he shows pictures of like instruments, some of them very odd instruments, things like you wouldn't recognize, and so
Like
it's
crumb
cool to go
horns,
through his Instagram and he's got some sheet music every once in a while he'll show, but he's not like
He doesn't show sheet music anymore.
Love it.
He got in trouble for that.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
Because we took it and turned it into actual music, and I don't think they expected that.
Yeah.
All right, I have a couple questions.
Forgotten geeks exist.
for this team. Let's start with these wonderful maps. I have a feeling, John, we were just talking about Alan Lee's affinity for watercolors. These are not the same maps that were used in the movies. These are brand new maps.
Is this Falcon's work?
I don't know. Do you think this is the work of John Howe or Alan Lee?
I think it's the work of the animators. It looks ever so slightly Japanese.
Yeah. Like, it kind of
And I
reminds
think
me of
that's
like
awesome.
the map. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the maps from like the from the Rankin Bass movies.
Well, and I love how it's kind of 3D as they're interesting. They go from 2D to 3D.
Yeah.
it certainly is a longer intro than the Japanese one.
There's
That
that white
transition.
dress.
But it's also in
Yeah,
hands
this
that
one, like, they really are sort of like saying, "Hey, remember this? Hey, remember Lord of the Rings? This is Lord of the Rings. Hey,
Yeah.
remember Lord of the Rings?"
Yeah,
Yeah.
Whereas the
just for
Japanese
us,
one is
for
in
the Western
Rivendell.
audience.
The Japanese one is Rivendell, and that makes no sense. This one at least is Gondor and
Oh, I think that that's all that they felt they needed. There is not this transformation of a movie world into an animation world that is meant to relate that it's okay, it's still part of the same universe.
Yeah,
For
the
us
tie.
Westerners, there's no
the-
need to do that for the Japanese. It's more
Yeah.
like, this is the franchise. Okay, now we're in the anime.
Exactly.
I have an opinion on this whole Peter Jackson intro. I don't
like
know if it was necessary. I don't know if it hurts the movie to have it
I don't
stand
think it
alone
hurts the
on its
movie.
merits.
I just think it's kind of rude to Kamiyama. Like, it's his movie. Why is
Yeah.
it Peter Jackson Presents? It's really rude.
because
I
that's
I would be a little
It's
bit
brand
offended.
recognition. That's
Yeah,
what
but
it is.
still,
Yeah.
put it at the end.
Yeah.
But by the same token, they want to get Peter Jackson first because they have 10 seconds to get people's attention. And it says Peter Jackson. Oh, holy crap. You know? That I understand that. I
Yeah.
understand the marketing aspect to it. But by the same token, I am a little bit disappointed.
Also,
And
the fact that they put Kenji Kamiyama's name on this shot in a weird. Is someone
echo.
muted? We just heard. But this is weird. That it's hard to read. They couldn't put
Yes.
his name in the shadow part. Like, you have a bright moon behind. Like, it's the most contrast shot in the whole trailer. It's almost like his name gets lost in
Yeah.
everything about this shot is poorly framed. Like,
I
put his name
agree.
in the shadow area. Like,
Yeah.
put some respect on his name. This is like
Yeah.
the worst shot to use.
Yeah. And he has good.
Yeah,
He's a
guys.
story director. He did Ghost in the Shell standalone content.
Tanya is signing off.
Oh, I'm signing off.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
Okay.
letting me
Oh.
Hi,
be part of
Tanya.
the chat.
Some of us want
Bye.
I'll listen to
Bye.
the rest of it tomorrow. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Well, thank you, Tanya, for joining us, a longtime staffer, and just wonderful to have all these perspectives on this. But all right, so it sounds like Stephen and I are
Yeah,
kind of agreed on
Yeah,
that.
I agree.
But I'm curious from Kathy and Josh, what do you guys feel about this like very hard?
I was surprised to see it. I mean, it kind of threw me off. But for a moment there, I was like, "Did they put the wrong trailer in the post?" Because I was thinking I was seeing a trailer for the films, and I'm like, "Well, why would I see a trailer for the films?" So it was a little off-putting. You're right. The Japanese one is very short, so it's not a huge transition. This one is a much longer transition.
Yeah. Yeah, this one, like, yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's a much longer opening. Like, I remember, like, when they posted it on Facebook, like, I'm scrolling by, like, it would start auto playing and it would start playing the clips from Lord of the Rings, and I'm like, okay, this is just a Lord of the Rings supercut or something, and I would scroll past it. Like, it took quite a few times for me to realize, oh, this is the War of the Rohirrim trailer.
Well, let me ask
Yeah.
you. Let me
That's
ask
That's
you.
an
so
interesting
long.
point then. Do you think that works against it? Is it too long?
I think it is.
Yeah, because
I think it's very neat. I like how it
like
goes from A to B to C and how they go through the doors
do.
and then we end up in. I think that's all very narratively neat, but it is
I
long.
think it's cool, but yeah, it runs too long.
Well,
Like,
it
they could have
slides in
shortened
and
it.
out, and it goes from, this story, and you're seeing, Rohan, and then it slides into the animation, and then it comes back out. And I'm like, just cut one of those off, any one of them, just pick one of them and cut it out. Because it's why go in and out and in and out of Lord of the Rings and War of the Rohirrim.
Yeah, they do, like, I think they do too many, like, shots of, like, the movie transitioning into the map. Like, I think there's like two or three of them. You really don't need that many.
Well, here's the thing.
Obviously,
What,
they thought they did. So the question is why?
what has changed in the marketplace of pop culture? Because like the Hobbit movies have a reputation amongst fans and moviegoers, right? And then the other movie after The Hobbit was Peter Jackson Presents Mortal Engines, which was not considered a hit at all.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's not.
so what has happened where the studio says we need to put Peter Jackson front and center when his last two movies were, I don't know, they just weren't.
Well, Mortal Engines wasn't part of this universe, and whereas The
No,
Hobbit,
but it was his baby.
I mean, it was his baby, but it's not Lord of the Rings. It's not the franchise. Obviously, The Hobbit was part of the franchise, and if it had been two films, it probably would have been great. And if it had been Guillermo del Toro, it probably would have been great. But
Mhm.
forced a third film, and so
I,
stretchy.
I
This
think
one,
Justin is suggesting that Peter Jackson doesn't carry as much cachet as
no,
they
yes.
think. Is that
I
correct?
mean, I agree. Yeah. Like,
Yeah,
So by
is
this-
that weird?
that was kind of my point. Is that
Yeah.
Yeah.
his last few movies? I mean, I think the studio considers that the animation movie he did with Steven Spielberg underperformed, and they still haven't greenlit a sequel. And then Mortal Engines was a total failure at the box office, even as wonderful as it is. And the third Hobbit movie, the Hobbit trilogy became butter over too much bread, right? So,
I still haven't watched Bofa.
well, there
Well,
you go.
Yeah,
and
you're not missing much, if
Well,
I'm
and
being
with this-
honest.
And with this, what I'm thinking though is with Rings of Power, a lot of the fandom is like, but we like the Peter Jackson universe.
There is that.
So it might be based on that.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're trying to do by like putting Peter Jackson here and showing you so many clips of the Lord of the Rings, the Jackson trilogy that we all love.
Yeah.
They're trying to get you into that mindset.
Yeah, why
Yeah.
in the world would they show the thirstiest scene in all of Lord of the Rings?
Is it?
Because there's a
Aragorn
shot of
walking
Hera
through the
in the
doors?
movie that mirrors it. Yeah.
Yeah, Hera
There's a
walks
shot
through
of Hera
doors.
that mirrors this scene.
Yeah, exactly.
I do like the mirror. I thought that was okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I
'Cause
think that's why they're
and,
showing it.
And he
Yeah.
opens a door, and that opens into the anime. Is that not
Mhm.
correct? There we go.
Yeah. Like that's
Oh, we're
Yeah.
here. There you
Yeah.
go.
and
I
then
like
we go
that.
into
And then you
Yes, yeah.
actually have the eagle flying down towards
So,
the
so that little transition there, I like that. I think it's really good. I think the earlier ones are a little bit much.
yeah.
Okay.
Like honestly, like you just need this and that, and I think you've sold the concept.
All right, one other question before we let everybody get on with their lives. Dominic Monaghan was the major Lord of the Rings actor that posted on his Instagram, and he's getting a ton of likes, and he's kind of teasing fans because they're like, "Are you in this?" And let me see if I can find any the comment that he replied to, but I guess not. I can't. It's not showing. But
Yeah, I do.
is Dominic Monaghan potentially in this movie in a still uncredited role?
It's possible, but I don't think
Maybe.
So.
Like, I mean, it would be interesting if like they bookend this with Eowyn telling Mary about this.
Oh, that might be an interesting.
Because I think the
But in
implication. I think the implication was he was the guy with the hand in the rings, which I don't think is the case.
No.
I don't think that's him either. No.
But that was what the Instagram thread seemed to imply.
Oh, what?
Okay.
That he's the voice of this guy?
I think that's
Yeah.
what he was trying to imply, and maybe he was just joshing everyone.
Let me turn the audio up on this. Ready?
Yep.
What does Mordor want with rings?
That's not Dom.
That's not Dom.
It is. It could be Dom. Hold on.
I
Let's play
don't
it
think
again.
so.
What does Mordor want with rings?
I think it's Dom. I do think it's Dom. I
You
think
think
it's
it's
Dom.
Dom?
Hold
I
on.
don't.
What does Mordor want with rings?
The way he says rings, there's the way he announces the I in rings.
Nope. Nope.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think
If
so.
he is in it, he's one of the people hearing the story that Eowyn is telling about.
I think he's going to be Mary, and it's going to be Eowyn telling him the story of Hera.
I don't know. We've had Dom Monahan on the podcast a
That's
few
not
times.
a terrible idea, actually.
No,
And-
I'm
She
not
has to
mad
tell
at that
somebody.
idea.
Yeah, she has
Yeah,
to.
because Mary writes history. Mariah Dot writes histories.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, does
I
he?
thought
What?
she'd be
Hang
telling.
on.
Yes, he does.
Back that up.
He's a hobbit, so he writes stories.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All the
But I
hobbits-
mean,
all the hobbits
Mary is
chronicle
a
their
record
families.
keeper, and he's a after Lord of the Rings, he becomes a historian.
he writes on the history of pipeweed or something like that. I'm just
Yeah.
looking.
Yeah,
But
he
all the
writes like
hobbits-
a very detailed history of pipeweed.
Yeah.
All,
But it's a
all,
hobbit thing to write a history about families. That's why the entire chapter concerning hobbits.
He writes a reckoning of years. Okay, so he
All
wrote
I-
several scholarly works which were probably part of the Red Book: Herbler of the Shire, The Reckoning of Years, and Old Words and Names in the Shire.
Yep.
well,
Yep.
all I know is
So,
Dom
okay, that makes
Monahan.
sense.
The Dom Monahan, the actor, has his voice through years of smoking and his actor lifestyle. His voice has dropped a few octaves and is very raspy. He's been on the show Torn Tuesday many times, even post-pandemic, and he voices characters in Vox Machina on Amazon Prime, and his voice is quite gruff. Not to this extent, but it is quite possible, as I'm listening to it, that final shot in the trailer of the orc grabbing the ring, if I close my eyes, I totally can see there's an inflection in the word rings that it tells me that's Dom.
And I still prefer him being the one listening to the story and writing it down.
I mean, we'll see.
And
We'll see.
And watch it could be nobody. I mean, that could be children that she's telling the story to.
It could be, as
Yeah.
well. But I think the Mary idea is very elegant.
Yeah.
What
So
do
that's
you
why I
think?
like it.
Yeah.
Final question. What do you guys think of this very 3D texture logo?
I like
mean,
it
Back to the
because it
beginning.
looks like teeth chomping
It
down
does.
on
It
the
looks like
logo.
teeth eating the Lord of the Rings. It does. It
Yeah.
totally looks like teeth.
And I like that.
I think they're in the 90s.
Is
when
it
rendering
kind of-
started becoming popular.
But is
I
it
love it.
is it selling a movie that doesn't exist in a 2D animated world? I mean, that my concern is, like, here's this wonderful, very realistic stone etched Rohirrim logo, but it's it's a 2D animated. Like,
It's a
there
2D
isn't-
anime. Yeah.
So
I don't
So
have a
you're
problem
questioning
with that.
why have we got
I-
3D on 2D?
I've seen plenty of 2D anime movies that have 3D logos, and it's fine.
okay,
Yeah.
Maybe we're overthinking it.
we're
Yeah.
overthinking it, but that's what
And
we
Yeah.
do.
we
'Cause-
we never
Definitely-
overthink
definitely
things here.
overthinking
Ever.
I know. Like when have we overthought anything? We've only been talking about this 2-minute trailer for
we're
2.5
surface
hours.
level. Yeah, we're never surface level.
4
Let me ask
minutes
you
of
the-
trailers.
Let me ask you this: should the studio name this movie and future movies Peter Jackson's The Lord of the Rings?
God, no.
I don't like that idea.
No, I hate that. No.
He didn't do most of the creating, so no. Why?
Okay.
I prefer
do-
if they did. If they felt they needed to do something like that, I prefer they hew to J.R.R. Tolkien.
Yeah.
Do you think this is this is they should back off the Peter Jackson presents stuff? Like they did it once, it's here, they did it, they got it out of their system. So back off
I hope so.
PJ.
Yeah.
I would prefer they not put Peter Jackson so front and center on all this stuff, because like this is like we don't go to these movies for Peter Jackson. We go to these movies for J.R.R. Tolkien.
Also, Philippa Boyens has done so much of the heavy lifting, and she's
She
not even
has, yeah.
mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be-
She was probably on that last title card, but
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, I'm very excited.
But Philippa
that,
Boyens doesn't have the same sort of name recognition as
Yeah.
Peter Jackson, so I get that too.
let's go around the room with the one thing so far that you've seen or heard that is most exciting about this movie. Because for me, I'm going to tell you right now, the thing that is getting me my butt in the seat in cinemas in December is Brian Cox as Helm Hammerhand. I love Succession. I love Brian Cox's entire history. I love that he was Colonel Stryker in the Marvel Universe. I love Brian Cox. He is the perfect voice for Helm Hammerhand. I can't wait. And when I watched this trailer, hearing his voice with that character, I didn't hear Brian Cox anymore. I just heard a very mean, gruff Helm Hammerhand. That's what I'm most excited about. Home run for the casting and the character design of Helm Hammerhand. Josh?
Next. Why am I excited about this movie? Just because it's a lore expansion. And one of the things that I've been loving about diving into this history of Middle Earth series is just how much lore there is to this universe, and anything that we can get that expands on that, I am all for. That's why, like, even though I have issues with the Rings of Power, I'm still going to keep watching it. Um, so yeah, that's why I'm excited for this. I would much rather get a new story and some expansion of lore than like a remake of stories we've already seen.
That's fair.
Before we go to Kathy, the chat room says Philippa Boyan's name is not on this screen.
It's
Oh,
not?
I thought she was.
Oh, I thought it was.
Fran Walsh, Peter Jackson, Sam Register, Carolyn Blackwood.
Those
Tom
are
Williams.
executive producers.
I think she's only doing a producer role. There we are.
There
There
she
we
is,
are.
Philippa Boyens, produced by Philippa
And
Boyens.
story
Yeah.
by Philippa Boyens. Okay.
yeah,
Story by Philippa Boyens. Okay.
yeah.
She's
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
very
she's
much-
on the producer list. She's not an EP. EPs put money in, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's produced and story by. So she's in two places.
All right, Kathy. What are you most excited for right now?
Okay, so ever since I was a kid, Eowyn always jumped off the page for me. Particularly the fact that when you're reading it for the first time and not watching it on a movie, but when you're reading it and Dernhelm picks up Mary and takes him into battle, and it's not until she is fighting the Witch King that Mary realizes it's Eowyn. And of course, that's the same time that we realize it's Eowyn. And so for me, Shield Maidens and Eowyn and the Rohirrim were always a really big deal. So the fact that we're getting an expansion that is Rohan is really exciting for me. The fact that it's a woman heroine is also exciting for me. And then, wow, some of this animation is just stunningly beautiful. I mean, look at that. It's just beautiful. So, yeah. But
Steven.
yeah, Rohan.
I've always liked the Helm story. So I want to see what they do with it. And I like how it's a darker story and people die and it's not necessarily happy. And I like those sort of stories as well. So I'm glad that they were a bit brave and decided to do this. And it looks good. I think it looks good. It looks better than I expected. I wish the animation was a little bit more fluid. I mean, it's not top tier animation, to be blunt. It's not Demon Slayer level of fluidity.
Yeah.
But it still looks good. It looks better than I expected. If they can tidy up some of the CG things like that elephant, and I don't like the siege tower crashing down on the deeping wall as well. I think that looks a bit ropey. If they can fix those things before December, then it should be pretty good. It should be entertaining. And I want to see this story. I really want to see the story.
And as we've been reporting at the OneRing.net, they have put a crazy amount of resources into this movie. It is the 10th longest anime movie that we could find. Like, it is
50 minutes is a lot for an anime. It is very long.
It's
very.
So this is a full featured film. This isn't like an HBO Max special that was being put in theaters now. No, this is a full featured film with a cast of characters and creatures that are familiar and some new, and this just looks exciting. So good job on the trailer. The rumors are, Steven, we got rumors that this trailer would be attached to Warner Brothers' Beetlejuice movie. Do we have any follow-ups on that?
I'm not a movie guy, so I haven't heard anything.
Do you want to see this trailer in cinemas?
I'm not.
Is the movie out this week or next week?
Not my sort of thing.
2 weeks.
So probably not.
Comes out September 6th. So
Okay. I know, like, during the Lord of the Rings, people would go and see movies just to see the trailer and then do it over and over. That's not me.
Well, I mean, that was like,
and also these days you can just get it in high res and you watch it. I can watch it on my 42-inch screen here at home in front of me on the computer.
Are we
unless you want the sound thing?
If this movie delivers as we think it will, are we ready to throw another Oscar party?
Yes.
I mean, yeah.
I still don't have a passport.
Get one. You've got time.
You got 6 months.
Yeah, you got time. You can
We'll
do
let
it.
you into the country.
You came up at least once, Stephen. I remember, like 20 years ago or more.
Well, there you go. That is, nobody has anything else to say, I think we've talked about a trailer long enough, over 2.5 hours.
I mean, I would say if they attach this to Beetlejuice, don't let that be the only reason you go to see it. I've already seen it. It's actually pretty darn good.
The only other news that I have is that I believe the soundtracking is almost done. Stephen Gallagher is doing some recordings, remote recordings from Wellington right now, and also in Wellington, and that should be finished in like a couple of days.
Yeah, my guess is
so. It's moving. We're getting to the end zone, as you might say.
No more delays on this one. Well, folks, we appreciate you guys tuning in to our trailer review. I'm sure we're still gathering more staffers' thoughts and impressions on the trailer that we'll be posting on the OneRing.net. We already have some impressions. You can go to the OneRing.net's homepage. They're all up there. And just a reminder, the One Ring is at DragonCon in Atlanta next weekend, and we have a panel with the executive producer of this movie, Jason DeMarco. He actually lives and works at Cartoon Network there in Atlanta, so this is his hometown convention. So we're really excited to go more in depth with Jason DeMarco. You can follow him on Blue Sky, the better social network now. And that's what we do here. We geek out over the smallest things, and we just spent 2.5 hours talking about a 2.5-minute trailer, as we do.
2.5-minute trailers.
Thank you, Justin.
Yes, thanks, Justin. Thanks for putting this together so we can just go off.
Yeah,
Justin,
that's what we
talk a minute afterwards.
Yeah, and so that's what we do best here at the OneRing.net. We geek out, and it's not just videos here. Go to the OneRing.net. We've got a bunch of articles on Rohirrim. If you just search for Rohirrim, you'll see years worth of articles, insights, sneak previews, reactions to footage that still hasn't been screened outside of Annecy, and so many other things. So we're trying to be your one-stop shop of all of the Lord of the Rings news, but we know there's a bunch of other places that you can get stuff, and we're happy that you're here. Hit that subscribe button. Tell your friends to subscribe to us, and we'll see you next time with theonering.net. Thank you guys so much. We'll do it again at the next trailer. Bye now.
Bye.
Thank you.